Hi there, sorry. I'd love to see everybody talking and love to see the room filled, but unfortunately we do have to get started. So it is 6 o'clock and I'm going to call to order the regular council meeting of the Village of Franklin on July 13th, 2026. Could we do the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Solly?
Here.
Councilmember Gates? Councilmember Ferris? Councilmember Henson? Councilmember Salaka?
Here.
Councilmember King?
Here.
President Goldberg?
Present. So trustees Gates and Ferris have advised us that they were going to be absent, and I still think we're going to expect Pam to come in at some point. She might be looking for parking. Next on the agenda is adoption of the agenda. Does anybody have any comments or consideration to the agenda for discussion?
Can we move council reports earlier?
Earlier than.
Council reports earlier than...
Well, I guess it's above new
I think it
business.
was moved.
It was moved?
Yeah,
Okay.
I made the recommendation that we move it up so that it's not in between new business and us leaving, because oftentimes we just kind of rush through it. But at the same time, we have a lot of people in the audience that are here for the presentation, so I don't want to hold them up. So I think that's
Presentation precedes that.
right,
Yeah,
and that's what I'm
that's
saying.
what I'm
I like where we have it seated currently.
Yeah, and this is where it used to be, and actually it was earlier. I like this, and this is a good spot for it, instead of behind new business, because I agree it was getting lost. Okay, any other comments? Hi, Pam.
Hi, David.
Thank you.
Sorry I'm late.
No problem. All right, hearing no comments, if I can get a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Sally, second by Salaka. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have minutes, 3 sets of minutes. The first is from our regular meeting of June 8th. Anybody have discussion or comment? Correction? I'm sorry, Jeff, did you have something?
Sorry, no comments.
Oh, okay.
I don't either, so.
All right, hearing no comments, if we can get a motion to approve the regular minutes of June 8th.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Hanson, second by Sulak, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Special Village Council meeting of June 30th. Fairly simple minutes from that meeting. Any comments? We can get a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Motion by Hanson, second by King, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. And then we had a closed session also of June 30th, some pretty simple minutes. Any comments? Motion to approve, please.
Motion to approve closed session minutes on June 30th.
I'll second.
Motion by King, second by Hanson, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, we have public comments. So if anybody is here that would like to address council on anything that is not on the agenda, you're limited to 3 minutes. Hello.
For the last time, well, one last time before the next election, I'm here in support of our incredible police, and I am here to support our millage, and I hope those looking in will ignore the noise and negativity and misinformation and commit to getting the facts and resolving this millage because it's necessary and it's in the public interest. Secondly, I draw your attention to the website Irresponsible Franklin for factual information regarding this and upcoming election information and endorsements that I will make to fill the 4 critical seats on the council in this November. I will put my money and my efforts and my reputation into this next critical election to support experienced entrepreneurs, business people, philanthropists who have lived in this village for decades and understand Franklin. And lastly, I must question the Huda School in that this village has extended outreach and support in the hopes of a continuing positive relationship with a school where most of their students come from outside our community of Franklin. Their recent decision to post a political sign on their property while supporting First Amendment rights and freedom of speech, I question why a school would place a political sign on its property. This sign represents a candidate who has knowingly stated his disdain for Israel and its right to protect itself. It's insensitive and inflammatory, no different than the Palestinian signs that were on Orchard Lake Road a couple of miles away from Temple Israel, which came down very quickly. If I were on this council, I would advise they remove this political statement and present neutrality out of respect for those who live here and do not share their candidate's beliefs. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Hi, this is my first time coming to a meeting. Took some notes. Apologize. I'm not really good at public speaking, but
If you want
good
to
evening.
give us your name at least, we can at least get a record of your being here.
Yes. My name's Howie Siegel. I am a tax-paying resident of the village of Franklin. I have 3 kids, a wife, and I'm an audit partner at a public accounting firm. I'm standing here before you tonight because I received an email last week, or in mail last week that took me to the website irresponsiblefranklin.com, and I was pretty upset with just kind of the functioning of this current committee and the village itself, and that's why I felt the need to come here and just voice some thoughts and concerns that I have. I guess first and foremost, I think it's highly disrespectful to post anything that slanders individuals that give up time away from their family, that are only working to serve the best interest of the village. Even if there's conflicting views of what's right and what's not right, I just think it's highly offensive. And also outwardly, it shows to the rest of the community outside of Franklin that we don't have our shit together, and that's just not appropriate. The site's complaints are that newer board members haven't lived in Franklin for 5 years, lack institutional experience, and can't be trusted. I've lived in Franklin for 7 years. I'm not an attorney. I've served on multiple nonprofit boards, and I'm not married to anybody on the council. So by the website's own words, I should be somebody that should be listened to. As an audit professional, somebody that's been in public accounting for over 23 years, internal controls, corporate governance is paramount to all organizations, whether they're nonprofits or for-profit entities. The millage, which for the record, I will absolutely be voting for. I'm 100% for supporting our police department. As much as I support that, I do not support keeping the existing governance and control structures of the village without making changes. We obviously need to and will continue to support our police department, but that does not mean that we just ignore any issues with the governance around the wire transfer issues that obviously came up in the last year, other long time, budgetary issues. I think one of the things that was mentioned, can I have my wife's time as well?
Is she here?
She is not here.
Can you wrap it up pretty quickly?
Sure.
Like
I got you.
Within the next minute?
Next minute, sure.
It's your first time here. But-
One of the arguments was made that there was a lot of groupthink for some of these newer board members, and I can think of nothing more indicative of groupthink than voting 7-0 for budget approvals for 30 years. I don't view that as a sign of strength. I view that as a sign of weakness. Things should be challenged. People should be allowed to discuss things that are important to them, and there's a lot of outside publications around good fiscal management, good governance that we should be looking at and trying to see how we can make things better before we just start increasing taxes across the board. And again, I am still voting for the millage. This is not a representation of the police. This is a representation of the general fund and everything else that's going on there.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, we did receive.
Oh, I think we have one more.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr.
So,
Wooders.
Stuart Wooders, 25301 Franklin Park Drive. Though you'll hear from me later tonight, I'm actually speaking as a member of the public right now. Over the last 6 months or so, I've heard people and villagers come up and disparage some of the trustees because they put their name forward to help our village. Trustee Ferris and Trustee King have both been the brunt of some of these comments, which has nothing to do with them stepping forward and saying, "I'm here, help me, let me serve," even though we may not agree on the way that they were appointed, but we don't set stipulations on elected officials having certain criteria or experience to be village officials. As soon as we start doing that, then maybe we should have something to say about how they're appointed. But at the same time, when you have people that are willing to step up, that are willing to think, really put in the hours to actually think and consider the challenges of our village, and then vilify them for being willing to actually think and serve the village, I don't appreciate that. It's just all the years I've served this village on the planning commission, I joined because I like to think, and I like to solve problems, and I like serving my neighbors. That's what they did too. They signed up. And I may not agree with the way that they're appointed. I may not agree with the justifications for their appointments, but we also don't get to choose that until we vote who we elect. And that same criteria, the council, like I said during Trustee King's appointment, it's a hard job for them to choose who's going to be appointed a position on council. It's not easy because the electorate actually get to choose. They're taking that responsibility away from the electorate to appoint someone temporarily until we can vote on them. That's just the way it is. And I really think that we should consider the thoughtfulness that they've already given to council and the time they've spent, and not continue to try and push them away from the service that they're trying to do. And that's the only things I really want to say.
Thanks, Stuart.
Thanks, Stuart. Anybody else? Okay, we received one written communication from Sydney and Barbara Stutz. They wrote regarding the deer management program that we're looking into. Their letter was essentially writing to say that they strongly opposed using killing as a means of any deer management that we pursue. All right, having no one else to speak, I'm going to go ahead and close public comments, and we'll start with reports of our village officers. Chief Lawson.
I'll keep this brief. As far as the monthly report, I just want to point out that the officers did 292 house checks last month and 465 business checks. So I just want to highlight that. I think that's pretty amazing.
Are those checks the form that people fill out when they're away?
Yes.
Do you have a data on how many are Bingham and how many are Franklin?
I can see if Stephanie can break that out for us in the future.
But is it probably 50-50?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
Any questions related to the report?
I had one.
Sure.
One, I love seeing how much training continues. Appreciate that. I was curious about the schedule. So some are like, it seems like some are like the full staff and some maybe individuals. Is that related to certification updates, or like how often are you going to do a fatal force police training? Is that something that's for newer officers? I'm just curious.
So some of this training that you're seeing on here is online training. We subscribe to Police One, and they do a great job where the officers can sit down for 1 to 2 hours and review the videos, and that counts towards what the state mandates that we have to train on.
Got it.
We're somewhat short-staffed, so we've been very careful about sending people outside the department right now for a full day.
Sure.
But if it's needed, it's needed.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Chief Averbach.
Good Good evening.
Good evening.
You have my written report, obviously, right in front of you. Hopefully, you've had a moment to take a look at it. There are two things that I wanted to include beyond the written report for the month. The first is just and I wasn't prepared to provide this. So this is, I'll just come up with this. But on the more serious note, the budget year has started July 1st. The fire department is very appreciative of working with the village. However, this budget year is the second year in a row that Franklin was unable to meet the requests of the fire department due to the limitations as set forth within the two millages. The charter millage as well as the millage, the .5 mills that was passed in 2011 for a 20-year bond. So with that said, and with timing being what it is, we are looking forward to having the fire department working with the village towards getting language approved such that it can be voted on to restore the original charter millage. So that way the fire department can meet its obligations. At present, this is year number 2. Last year we were unable to fund our reserve fund, which covers the replacement cost of fire apparatus and capital expenses. Taking this into the future and considering the cost of fire apparatus and what it's done in the last 6 years, this is going to potentially put the fire department at a very unique stance in its inability to cover its costs. So I'll end it with that, just saying we are looking forward to having the fire department working with the village to meet these needs. On another note, hence the smile, I wanted to let you know that after 32-ish years with the fire department and after 27 years as the fire chief, I have tendered my retirement notice to the Fire Commission last Monday. Per my contract, I will remain in place with my last day in the office being August 28th. I have been provided an outstanding opportunity to work at a different location, not in the fire service directly, but utilizing my experience and my skill set towards helping out another group. This is a very unique opportunity and an opportunity that will not be presenting itself anytime in the near future. With that said, and in the hopes of having a smooth transition, I have provided the fire department 4.5 pages of what it is I do. I have offered up time such that when the Fire Commission determines a strategy to move forward, that we'll be able to pass on that knowledge. I have worked towards completing a number of projects at the fire department so that whoever takes over will have the ability, pending unforeseen emergencies, but they'll have the ability to start working on things from day one and not be inundated with last-minute requests. With that said, I'm also working on this week's article for Evan and for the village, but I will be back next month with a formal statement. But I wanted to let everyone know in the village of my appreciation towards the opportunity that was presented to me back in 1991 to volunteer for the fire department, where I worked under Chief Tice, to learn the position that I took over in 1999, and the opportunity to work with all of the councils from both villages as well as Southfield Township for the last 27 years. So my goal in this transition is to have a smooth transition where we can have good communication, not only within the fire department, but with the villages to better understand the needs and the processes that we're using now. So pending your questions, that'll conclude my second to last report.
Tony, that is sad information for us, although exciting for you, and
Yes.
we're real happy for you to step into the next chapter of your life, the last one being an extended one. So that was a long chapter, and we're real excited for you. Greatly appreciative of you willing to stay on over 7 weeks to see that there is a smooth transition, and as well as giving us an opportunity to have time to reflect on and honor you at our next meeting. So for your second to last meeting, thank you and congratulations, and I'll leave it up to anyone else who wants to
Thank you.
comment, but we'll definitely have something for you next month.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
I have a question.
Sure.
Congratulations. We're
Thank
proud
you.
of you, and I'm excited about your new gig.
Thank you.
My question is this. This transition is going to be really important. It's a big deal. What do you need from us and from the village staff to support a smooth transition where, from the villager standpoint, it's seamless?
It's an easy question to answer, and it's a difficult question to
I
answer.
understand that. but it's my question.
Open communication
Okay.
is the primary need, but having a good appreciation within the fire department and for the fire commission for their efforts towards this end. So the last year or so has been instrumental in determining the future of the fire department. There is a committee that will be meeting at the end of this month. That'll be made up of representatives from Franklin, Bingham Farms, and the fire department towards a 5-year plan.
Okay.
The fire department has made numerous advances in the last 4 or 5 years towards our capabilities with staffing, with EMS capabilities, with a new piece of apparatus to transport, and an upgrade of our license. So in terms of understanding the need, I would just say let's keep going with what we're doing. With meeting, with discussing, with asking questions, with having an understanding of even the fire department and how it is placed within the village. We are not a municipal agency. We are a contract agency. But looking at it bigger, because there is no fire department in the country, with the exception of maybe New York City and LA City or LA County, that can handle things on their own. We rely on mutual aid. We rely on working with our partners within Oakland County and outside, and just having an appreciation for what it is we do. And if there are questions, I'm here Monday through Friday. Most of you have my cell phone number anyway, so you can feel free and call me anytime. So I think knowledge is key. We have the capabilities, but having an understanding of what are we doing today, what do we need tomorrow, and looking around. So stop with that.
So I take it that this joint committee that you talked about that's going to develop the 5-year strategic plan, will that be your working group to manage this transition on behalf of the village?
It is.
Kind of looking at who's talking to who and what
Yeah,
do you
indirectly, it will be, because the 5-year plan is just that. We provide a service based on the expectations of the customer, being Franklin and Bingham Farms. So understanding what the expectations are, that will lead us into what level of service is needed. Within the fire department, we have a treasurer, we have a personnel officer, we have, president, vice president, we have other members with decades of experience within and outside of the village. So as a business, that will lead towards their decision as to how this transition progresses. But I can tell you, I've already been working with members of the fire department internally to understand the things that I'm doing. So that way we can pass it on, and there will, hopefully will be, very little, speed bumps along the way, but we will continue to move forward. And the expectation is, whether I'm here or not, the fire department will still receive 911 requests We'll still respond, the doors will still go up, and we will still have personnel. We have an excellent opportunity. Even today, we had a medical call over in Franklin, and not only did I have, and this was in the middle of the day, on a weekday, on a Monday, I had 2 people in the rescue, 2 people on the engine. We had 2 additional people show up in their own vehicles, plus me. So we are really well qualified and we're really well placed. And any transition doesn't happen overnight. 7 weeks is, yes, I gave them 7 weeks. We've been working on this for years. We increase our levels of training, we increase our levels of capabilities. We've been doing things in Franklin that have been made known, as well as those that have not over the decades. So that way we can be prepared. And preparedness doesn't stop with one person.
Okay,
It's a team.
okay.
So
Thank you, Tony.
you're welcome.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. First one, you'd mentioned essentially to the first point that you were raising, are we looking to propose a Headley rollback? Is that the proposal?
Should be.
I think that's an internal discussion that you have to have at the village level. But I would say the original charter millage was 1.5 mils. It's been reduced to, I think, 0.8 something over the course of the years.
Okay.
I am told back in 2011, we faced the same issue when the economy had a little bit of a downfall from 2008 to 2010, where the villages were not able to meet the requirements. And it's not about money in reserves or anything like that. Within Franklin, we are funded specifically from dedicated millages. Or a millage then, and in 2011, there was a 0.5 mil 20-year term that was passed. And we've hit that point, I would say around 2022, 2023, something like that, where the revenues brought forth from property values were not meeting the need of the department. And at the same time, with COVID, with supply chain issues, with equipment costs and changes within the fire apparatus industry, we started seeing, as an example, our ladder truck purchased in 2014 at $920,000 to replace that today would be close to $2 million. And we can explain tariffs and cost of metals as one thing, but industry is a little different.
And then to your second point, sorry to hear you go. When I hear that, my blood pressure immediately goes up for a lot of different reasons. It's just like logistically.
I got a rescue over there, and I got people back there.
I appreciate that. I guess we're in
transport.
good company for the events. So just I think a couple of questions that I have is,
Yes.
how quickly are we looking to kick off like a hiring process, or are we looking to do an internal search? How are we trying to manage that?
I can't answer that question because that's up to the board.
Okay. And you haven't had discussions on what that transition?
They've had some internal discussions amongst some of the board members, but I haven't seen a path forward.
Okay.
Are there minutes from those meetings?
No. There's just from a couple of the board members. It's not, we have minutes from the board meetings. The next board meeting will be next Monday, but there'll be minutes from that, but I've seen nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, and then who from the Village of Franklin is going to be represented on the the committee, whoever?
The Committee of Five.
Myself and.
Okay.
Well, I'm the liaison, so I'm
David?
technically on the commission.
And
And
Jody
Jo-
will be there as well.
Jody,
Okay,
okay,
perfect.
yeah.
All right. Okay, thank you.
I assume it will be a topic of discussion in the board meeting upcoming.
I would hope.
I would hope.
Yeah.
So
think so.
we'll get our update then. Obviously,
Okay.
thank you for your service. We're
Sure.
all
Certainly.
Extremely appreciative, and as David said, it's like, okay, but we will be, deal with it as it comes.
Yeah.
As far as open communication, I guess, are there examples of things that you'd like to see or recommend, or just transparency and communication just as like a best practice?
I would say this, and I'll give you an analogy. when you all decided to move into Franklin, if you had younger kids, one of the first questions you had is, what's the school system like? I would say the next time you move, or if you're living here now, what's your fire department like? What do we do? What do we offer? How do we do the jobs that we do? What are our goals? Anyone can look at today, but we need to look 10 years from today. Where are we going? And starting to understand that leads off to a discussion, which is, here's what you want, how do we do it, but how do we make it so that it can be affordable? And so the fire service in general is facing some really tough times, not in Franklin, but across the country. The cost of things, the cost to people, the taxes and all of that. So how do we do what we do? For years and years and years, we had been a purely volunteer fire department. My position in 1999 was the third paid employee. Not at the same time. I was the third paid person as a fire chief. Now we have 8 full paid people. And part of that is because of the economics of the locale. We have 2-income households. We don't have people who have the time to spend volunteering, and with the state requirements for certification and licensure. You know, there's a lot that's involved in it now that we have to do. So just having an understanding, I think, really helps out. And I guess there was one thing I did want to mention separate from this. We are, my EMS coordinator, John Buck, is standing behind me here, but on Wednesday, we are going to be having an in-service for a new piece of equipment. It's a Zoll Xenix model cardiac monitor defibrillator. Although we are not a paramedic agency, there are a number of features within that device that can be used. This was a $60,000 investment between the item, the ancillary supplies, and the maintenance plan. But this will allow us to not only seamlessly communicate between the monitor and our report system, but we can actually take echocardiograms and send them directly to the hospital for interpretation. So we have, that's just one advantage that we have. We also, in the last month, enhanced our capabilities with what we call a BPAC. So it provides additional medications that can be provided to patients on scene. So we're doing everything we can, and just those simple things of just understanding what's going on, it hopefully will lead to more questions. What can you do for me? What can I do for myself? That sort of thing.
Thank you.
Yep.
One last thing, Tony.
Yeah.
We have a finance committee meeting coming up. We've proposed it. I think it's on the schedule on August 4th. Sorry?
6th. August 6th.
August 6th. What did I say?
August 4th.
I thought it was the 4th. No?
It's the 6th.
It's, okay, sorry, the 6th. Could we add a deep dive on the fire department, just finances, and what we need to look at from a funding standpoint, including Headley Rollback at that meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And if you need somebody from the fire department to come, please ask them. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And we haven't sent out the financial report for this month yet. I know that it's due. This being the end of the fiscal year, we're working on last-minute adjustments towards the end of the year numbers. So as soon as I get it, you will have it.
Okay, I do have a follow-up from a question that I asked at the last meeting so that our council
Yeah.
is aware too of, is there an updated status on billing insurance for you, the fire
Oh,
department, to have for EMS runs and such? Should
Yeah.
be billing,
So the update I have right now is about 2 weeks ago. We're contracting out the billing to Star EMS, and Star is in the process of finalizing our status with Medicare in order to bill. I haven't heard anything since, but this is a process that started back mid-September of 2025, and I was told at the beginning that this is going to take a while, especially with the shutdowns and the staffing levels. I'm hoping we can start soon enough.
has that been estimated of the revenues that will generate annually?
We're looking tentatively at about $100,000, $50,000 per village if we cut it in half. So we have approximately 250 to 300 transports per year. And if we're looking at whatever the Medicare rate is minus the 10% with associated taxes, that's what we're hoping to get. out of this.
And then I assume we would get an updated budget with revenue sourcing on there as well.
Yeah, and the idea is that rather than paying money back or anything like that, we would reduce the operational cost of the fire department based on the receivables, so that way there's no icing, there is no cake. This is literally helping to fund the services provided.
Sorry, this is billing for transport?
Correct.
Yes.
We don't do that today.
Correct.
We're in the process of trying to get that status through Medicare.
Okay, that is a licensing agreement to make sure that we can bill Medicare, and you have to do some sort of,
You have to sign away your firstborn, give a blood sample.
okay. I mean, I can
This
understand
is-
how working with the federal government would be
No,
laborious.
it's a very intensive process which involves many steps.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they're worried about fraud and all these other things.
Right. Once the Medicare step is completed, then the private insurers usually are pretty easy to work
Yeah,
with.
I'm like, okay, if the
Yes.
federal government stamped this, will probably.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. If I get any more information over the next weeks, I will certainly pass it on.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Jody, do you have anything?
For the treasurer's report? So I'll give you a quick, I think I gave you quicker synopsis here. When I did the treasurer's report last month also, it was just a basic carryover of what was provided before in my electronic files of what the treasurer's report is. And so I only had duplicated. We're at year end, June. Typically, we don't even provide reports in June because it all comes out with the audit and with all of the year-end adjustments and entries that are done. That number is constantly changing up until the audit point, typically. And then now that we are in the new fiscal year, you'll see I'll do a completely different treasurer's report than this, where you'll get more information of, to just have balances of the bank accounts isn't really sufficient information, at least a comparable from the previous month and a comparison to a general ledger, because what's in the bank, same as at home, isn't necessarily what your general ledger is showing for your balances too, for outstanding checks and such. And then I will also include a revenue and expenditure report for each of the funds and activities, so you can see that monthly too on a basis. But for the final month of our 25-26 year, this is that report.
I have a question. Do you know, will we see next month in August how much we carried over from this year's budget?
I don't understand that question.
Sorry, the new budget year started July 1st. So as of June 30th, do we know like how, compared to what we budgeted, compared to what we spent, how much was left over? Or did we exceed our budget?
Yeah, we got that.
We did.
Yeah, because we had to do the budget amendment.
It's like we don't have that yet, but you'll have full financial reports that will include a comparative.
Like how close we were to what we
There's
spent.
always a comparative
Okay.
statement in financial reports every
Okay.
year.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Thanks, Jody. I'm going to make a quick flip on the agenda. I should have noticed this earlier. I'm going to move presentations ahead of the consent agenda because we have people waiting. So this is one of our, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to amend the agenda to flip-flop items 8 and 9.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Evan, thank you. So this is one of the couple times a year where we truly enjoy having you guys up here and witnessing this. This is the time of year where we get the pleasure of recognizing the men and women, both in as officers as well as civilians, that help run our police department and provide us with the amazing, high-quality law enforcement services that we've come so readily to get used to around here. And I am going to turn it over to you, Chief, to recognize the fine men and women of the department.
Well, first of all, thank you to the council and the village administrator for giving us the time to do this today. It shouldn't take too long. But I think it's very important that we honor a few individuals for specific acts of exceptional service. And I want to emphasize that really every member of our department has been doing an outstanding job, and I sincerely thank each and every one of them for what they do every day. For the officers and the civilian staff that are being recognized, as I call your name, please step forward. I will briefly summarize the incident that you were involved in. Then you'll receive your certificate and award ribbon. And following the ceremony, we'll do from 2025 through 2026. So we'll start with Sergeant Gorski and Detective Sergeant Wells. So on January 19, 2025, Sergeant Gorski was dispatched to investigate a number of break-ins that we had within the village. During his investigation, a victim pointed out a red substance on one of the vehicle doors that was broken into. Recognizing the potential of evidence value of the substance, Sergeant Gorski took the initiative to collect and preserve it as evidence. The evidence was subsequently turned over to Detective Sergeant Wells, who submitted to the Michigan State Police Crime Laboratory for analysis. The lab later confirmed that the substance was blood and was able to identify a DNA match to a known individual through a law enforcement database. Detective Sergeant Wells coordinated with neighboring law enforcement agencies and determined that the suspect was responsible for multiple larcenies throughout Oakland County. As a result of both of these individuals standing next to me, the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office authorized a felony warrant for the suspect's arrest. And for that, you'll be awarded the unit citation. Congrats. Thank you. Up next is Officer O'Shea and Officer Hall. On February 20th, 2026, Officer O'Shea and Officer Hall were dispatched to 30,700 Telegraph Road on a report of a female brandishing a firearm in the parking lot. Upon arrival, the officers quickly located the armed subject and began a thorough investigation of the incident. Through their investigation, the officers determined that the female displaying the firearm had not committed a crime, but had intervened to assist another female who was being physically assaulted. Officers identified the actual aggressor, conducted a thorough investigation, and placed the suspect under arrest. And for their efforts, they'll be awarded the unit citation. And Officer Hall is going to stay up here for a while. On May 30th, 2026, Officer Hall was dispatched to assist on a reported structure fire. Upon arrival, he observed heavy smoke and visible flames coming from the residence. Recognizing the immediate danger to the occupants, Officer Hall quickly entered the scene, awakened the residents, and safely evacuated them from the home. After ensuring the residents' safety, Officer Hall thought of himself as a volunteer fire department member, I guess, continued to assist the fire department with various tasks as firefighters worked to extinguish the blaze. Officer Hall's quick actions and commitment to public safety undoubtedly contributed to a positive outcome during a dangerous and rapidly evolving emergency. And for this, you will receive a merit citation. On March 22nd, 2026, Officer Hall was dispatched to investigate a domestic violence incident. The victim reported that her husband had struck her in the head before fleeing the residence on foot. At the time of the incident, Officer Hall was the only one available from our police department. Without immediate assistance, he began searching the area for the suspect. He found the suspect near Northwestern Highway. Officer Hall, once he located the suspect, discovered he did match the suspect's description, he safely detained him. During the encounter, Officer Hall discovered that the suspect was armed with a box cutter. Following further investigation, Officer Hall arrested the suspect for domestic violence. Officer Hall's initiative, courage, and decisions led to the apprehension of an armed suspect and helped ensure the safety of our community. And for this, you will be awarded a citation. This is the last one for you. Detective Sergeant Wells, come on up again. Yeah. Detective Sergeant Wells and Officer Hall had previously been contacted regarding an individual who claimed to have purchased a residence after requesting police assistance to gain entry. After communicating with the legitimate homeowner, officers confirmed that the individual had no ownership interest in the property, and they issued him a trespass warning. On March 21st, 2025, officers responded to a report of the same individual attempting to gain entry into the residence. Upon arrival, officers encountered the suspect, who again claimed ownership of the home. Rather than relying solely on the prior incident, officers took the time to thoroughly investigate the claim while also recognizing that the suspect might be experiencing a mental health crisis. Their investigation revealed that the suspect had unlawfully entered the residence. Officers placed the suspect under arrest and ensured that he ultimately received the appropriate mental health care treatment. And for this, both of you will be awarded a unit citation. So our last awards here. From July 25th, 2025, or July 2025 through October 2025, I was appointed interim village administrator. During that 4-month period, there were several individuals that consistently stepped forward to assist me with the many challenges and responsibilities associated with managing the day-to-day operations of the village. So with that, I'd like to welcome Jenna Zeman up here, Heather Midlowski, Heather, Stephanie Longworth, and David Goldberg. Their willingness to go above and beyond their normal duties ensure that the village operations continue to run smoothly and effectively. And I would like to personally thank each of them. It was a long 4 months, and I could not have done it without each of these individuals. David Goldberg was at the office like twice a day checking on me, my sanity. Heather was outstanding. Jenna really stepped up, and Stephanie definitely stepped up. And with this, so this is a new Chiefs Award I'd like to present to them from me. So thank you. And with that, that concludes our little ceremony. Thank you very much.
What's that?
Here's Jim. He wanted to, this is about Kozlowski. He wanted to read it into the record, but he
About
thought the meeting was at 7, not 6.
Oh,
So
he
he's-
wants to say something
Jim,
about Rick.
Jim
About
Kokensberger.
Rick, not about,
It's about the funding for the police fire department. It's, okay,
it's not a great time for it.
yeah. I didn't see it in time. But we're gonna talk about it at the finance committee.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna have a special, we probably have to have a special meeting.
The next item.
Through the finance.
I'm trying to,
What?
well, first of all, we'll make sure everyone,
I apologize. I thought this meeting was going to start at 7 o'clock, totally my fault. I had a statement prepared that I wanted to read in public comments. Is there any way that you can indulge? It's regarding the fire department. I know it's out of order, and I know I'm off the agenda, or this is not the time, but I'm simply requesting.
all right, I'll, go ahead.
Yes, okay, thank you. I appreciate it, I really do.
My name's Rick Kozlowski. I'm a longtime resident, owner, and taxpayer in the Village of Franklin. I'm also a longtime volunteer member of the Franklin Bingham Fire Department and serve as its treasurer. I'm here this evening to put on the record that the Village of Franklin, for the second consecutive year, is failing to meet its financial obligation to the fire department. The upcoming fiscal year's shortfall is right around $135,000. $35,000 for operations and $100,000 for equipment replacement. This is on top of a $100,000 shortfall from the fiscal year just ended on June 30th of 2026. We understand that this funding shortfall is due to the effects of the Headley Amendment on the property tax millage levied by the village for fire services. The village charter authorized millage rate is 1.5 mils. The current millage rate affected by the Headley Amendment, as we understand it, is about 0.85 mils. We have been meeting with village representatives for the better part of 2 years regarding this issue, trying to get out ahead of the situation we find ourselves in. We're expecting, based on information provided by the village council liaison to the fire department, to see approved language for a Headley override to appear on the November 2026 ballot to remedy this shortfall situation. It is our understanding that the village plans to use the same language that was used earlier in the 2000s when a similar override was put on the ballot and approved by the Franklin voters. This language, as we understand it per the village attorney, needs to be approved by the village council and submitted to the appropriate governmental authority by August 11th of 2026 in order to appear on the November ballot. The fire department is requesting that the village council take the appropriate steps and actions to ensure this Headley override proposal appears on the November ballot. Thank you for allowing me to say this, and I apologize for being messing up your agenda. Thank you very much.
All right, so we're on to the consent agenda. 2 items on the consent agenda today. The first has to do with the check run. Second has to do with BSNA. Anybody have questions on any of these that we want to have discussion on?
Yeah, in the check run, there's over $5,000.
All right, well, hold on a second. So, you've got comments on the check run. Anybody have comments or questions on the BSNA request?
I'm sorry, I do have questions on BSNA.
All right, so we're gonna scrap the consent agenda. So, the first item, so we're essentially moving into new business, so we'll kick off new business with these 2 items that are now off of the consent agenda. Angelina, go ahead. I had a question as well, but why don't you go ahead and ask yours first?
Yeah, so
If you're taking it off the consent agenda, you have to put it on the agenda and you have to move to amend the agenda.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda to add the check run and the BSNA cable board request to the regular agenda.
Are we gonna move council reports then too?
Well, it's supposed to go up, I guess. You guys are amending it.
Oh, put it under new business?
I'm just wondering, are we gonna, where are we moving them? Because I think That has to.
The way this goes right now, if you're moving the consent agenda down to new business, then it would go to council reports, and then.
Yeah, I just want to say, are we having the discussion now, or are we going to
No.
move it to new
Let's
business?
add it to new
Move it to new
business.
business.
Okay. It's fine with me.
Thank you.
So I think the motion is.
Hold on, real quick. Does Jody need to leave? So are you good if we like move it to the end of new business? 'Cause I don't-
Yeah, I've never
Is it-
left a meeting.
No, I know, I just want to be considerate, because like, if we move it to after the
Oh.
sports courts, it could be like 3 hours. Is that okay? Okay.
I'm here till
Well, we
the,
can
I
move it to the
know.
beginning. We can move it to the
Okay,
beginning.
I just want to be like super considerate,
Let's
because
just move
I
it
just
to
have
the
a quick
beginning.
question.
Yeah, let's move it to the beginning of new
Yeah,
business.
we'll
Okay.
move it as items, we'll make
I
them
don't wanna
items A and B. We'll move everything else down.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so do we need an amended motion?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to move the check run and the BSNA cable board request to the beginning of new business
As items A and B.
as items A, B, and A and B, and then move down accordingly. So item J becomes item L.
Support?
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so now we're on to council reports. I have, again, this is for the second month in a row, sad news to report to the village. During the course of the last couple weeks, two of our former employees and very recent former employees passed away. And it is with our condolences that I need to read two different statements. The first was our dear friend and village administrator, Roger Frazier. Roger passed away on Thursday, July 9th of this year. And in recognition of Roger's time here, Pam was kind enough to help us prepare a statement. So I'm going to read just a little bit of the history of Roger being here. Roger began his relationship with Franklin as a child during the time he and his family lived in the apartment above the Franklin Market. He went to school at Franklin Elementary and worked at the grocery store doing odd jobs. He came to work for Franklin as our interim village administrator on December 9th of 2019 while council went through the process of recruiting a new administrator. He began his tenure as our regular village administrator in April of 2020. He retired in October of 2024. Prior to coming to Franklin, Roger had been the Ann Arbor city manager for 11 years, where he implemented cost reduction and revenue measures such as adding parking meters and workforce reductions to address a projected $2 million deficit. He also served as Deputy Michigan State Treasurer for local government services. Roger joined the village as we were starting the roads and streetscapes project. He provided needed experience with construction project management as we worked with multiple contractors, a lawsuit, and a subsequent village vote to allow sidewalk construction. No funeral arrangements have been announced yet, and we again extend our condolences to Roger's wife, Sue, and their children. On another sad note, I also have to announce the passing of our dear village clerk, Dana Hughes. Dana passed away Friday, July 4th, 2026, at the age of 56. Dana was the Franklin Village Clerk from February of 22 until July of 25. She had been the city clerk in Ecorse, where she lived, and after she left Franklin, she became the deputy city clerk in Wyandotte. Dana's strength was that she always had a smile and stayed calm for even the most challenging resident interactions. Both trustees and her coworkers heard residents comment that they felt she helped them with whatever they came to the office to discuss. She loved supporting the HDC, Planning Commission, and Zoning Board, and commented she learned a lot from the experience. She helped Southfield Township with elections and was always present at Main Street events in a volunteer role. She was a key contact for Oakland County during COVID when they provided personal protection equipment and other supplies for local businesses. Visitation will be 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Friday, July 17th, 2026 at the Molnar Funeral Home at 2544 Biddle Avenue in Wyandotte. Funeral service will be at 10 a.m. on Saturday, July 18th, also at the Molnar Funeral Home in Wyandotte. We again extend our condolences to the entire Hughes family. Yeah. Outside of that, the only thing that I would want to offer up to all the residents out there, and you could probably get this information on the website, but to anybody who has questions regarding the upcoming millage, my phone is available. My phone number is 248-496-5858. Feel free to text me or email me if you have any questions about the millage. I'll be answering any questions in my capacity as a fellow resident, but if anybody's so inclined, I will make myself happily available. That's it for me. You want to go, David, anything?
Yeah. A couple of things. So, this is difficult to talk about, but I was approached by a couple of residents that were friends of mine, and they asked me what's going on a social media site that we all know, Nextdoor. And what I saw was the worst parts of our community. People spreading disinformation about the upcoming millage, people spreading disinformation about trustees, including myself. And it reminded me of President Obama's keynote at Stanford's Cyber Policy Summit. And typically I would just read the words, but I can't do justice to the words that he spoke during that keynote. So I just want to play something.
And Steve Bannon, for that matter. Understand, it's not necessary for people to believe this information in order to weaken democratic institutions. You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.
The reason that I wanted to share that is because, first of all, I very strongly believe that I don't believe in negative campaigning. I think that it brings a toxicity to the community. But more importantly, the reason why I wanted to play that clip is because it's not novel what we're seeing happening. When we come into an election cycle, disinformation is spread rampantly. And it doesn't stop there. I unfortunately received propaganda to my house, as probably all residents did as well, with countless after countless after countless incorrect disinformation claims in the literature. And while my instincts are to go point by point, I've always said I'll never go back and forth with trolls because they will always have more free time than I have. But I will encourage people, just as a former president did in this speech, to always consider the source. This was drafted by a former trustee who was asked to resign by members of council when it was discovered that he continued to serve on council after he was no longer a resident of the village. And now he's lashing out against the council members he feels is responsible for his resignation. What I have to ask is please don't engage in negative campaigning. This is behavior that tears communities apart. This community is small enough. You heard it from President Goldberg. If you have questions about the millage, ask him. If you have questions about a decision that any trustee made, ask them. Nobody's reached out because it's better to try and grab a headline and to scream as loud as possible and to fill our public square with sewage than it is to try and find resolution. So again, I just ask, I'm happy to meet with anybody that ever has conversations or questions about the village or myself. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll say something. To that vein, I think we're in an era of like Salem witch trials here. Let's target the female attorney on council for having a law degree, but not the president on council who has a law degree. Let's say that the only person on council who's worked for all three executive branches of government, a governor, the Michigan State Legislature, and a city, and say she's not experienced enough to volunteer her time on council. The only one who actually, writes government policy and understands the technical controls that it requires to pass muster with federal regulations and actively still does it. But, 8 years of living in the village isn't sufficient because I wasn't born of the well water in Franklin. But my children were, so maybe my children who are all under 10 years old would be better suited to serve on this council because they were born and bred in Franklin. And that apparently is what requires a seat on this council. It is just astonishing that the very people that put my sign on their lawn are now attacking me for not changing my name when I have a formal law license and saying they didn't know I was married and saying I didn't know I had kids and all this ridiculousness. It's just so villainizing and it's so misogynist and it just continues to be a cycle of disdain for females, for new residents, and it's no wonder why no one wants to volunteer because all that happens is they're personally attacked, not professionally, not for their integrity, it's for their personal decisions, what they decide to, whether they decide to change their name after they've been a lawyer. It's just really sad, and I hope it stops. And you have to ask yourself, what do new, fresh eyes bring to council? They ask questions. They see things differently. They don't follow the status quo. They're curious. They have new ideas. That's the kind of people you should want on council. They bring a fresh perspective. They don't owe anyone favors. They have a stake in the village. They have children who will live here for decades. They're invested. Those are the types of people you should have on council. Those are the changes that are scary. And you have to ask yourself, what will they discover? And there's been dozens of things we've discovered with this new administration. And it is something that we as council don't do a good job of communicating because we're looking forward to the future. But if you look at the website, you can see the number of special meetings we've had in the past 7 months. Those special meetings are because we've dug up dirt. We've found all the hidden skeletons, and we have to talk about it. And we have to make decisions on it. And we have to decide what is privilege, what isn't privilege, and what do we tell the public, what we don't tell the public. Those special meetings are because we are uncovering item after item of complacency, misgovernance, mismanagement, fraud, waste, and abuse. And it takes our time to think thoroughly through those issues that were pushed under the rug for decades. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelina. Anybody else? Jeff?
I have a lighter note,
Yep.
but I just, this is not the same tone, but I'll just say I read something recently that I thought was relevant for the village in terms of PSA, just a reminder that it's mosquito season. And this is something that I think is indicative of something that we can influence. We have all been here trying to find ways to improve our community, and just a PSA on, I read an article in the Washington Post about someone who basically was like, hey, I'm sick of mosquitoes being present in the community, and a PSA that basically things like just reducing the amount of standing water in your residence, just like banding together to remind yourselves that like, dump your standing water. And I believe we as a village pay for mosquito dumps, right? We pay to provide those to the community. You can put that in a basically designated area to attract the larvae and then kill them with the provided mosquito basically deterrent. And this was done in Maryland, but any community could take these steps to improve the quality of life. And I think there's a lot of things that we can do as a village that are not expensive and not particularly controversial, but can all make our lives better. So just a little PSA for me, and I will end my report.
Just a quick one. Thank you. I wasn't going to comment, but I am now. So, and I am kind of reacting to some of your comments, but
Please do.
well, I don't want to have a back and forth discussion. What I'm just going to ask is that if you haven't done it, and this is to all of us, take a look at the videotape after the meetings are over, and take a look at how you present yourself, how you're a leader, all of us. What words we choose to describe a situation we might be unhappy with or where we disagree with how a decision is made, and watch how we handle those interactions. And look critically and have someone else that you trust comment along with you about how you came across, how we come across to our community. And then ask community members in the conversations that we have with them between meetings, how they saw the conversation, the discussion, the disagreements, how we handle that. What was their impression of that? And that's my request, that we just do that. And hoping we all have the insight to improve where we can improve, and to stand by our values and our principles while we do that. The only thing I'm going to call out is the comment about dirt. I don't think there's dirt in the village. I think this is a little village that lives in a big metro area that has, I've said this to people for years, that we have all of the challenges of a bigger city, but we just have them on a smaller scale with a highly engaged residential community that wants answers from us. Sometimes the best fix is to do it gently and to do it with humanity with people. That's it. That's all I'm going to say right now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. That's everybody. Now, new business?
Sorry, real quick. So after administrative reports, it's committee liaison reports. And
good.
as a committee
My bad.
liaison, I see that Stuart is in the audience, so I'll defer my time to him.
Sorry, that was my fault. Glossed right over those two.
Well, I'll be short because we're going to have in new business 3 of the items that we're bringing towards council, which are ordinances 648, 678, and 1268 for first reading. So I'll answer any questions we have during that time. We are moving as a planning commission to the next steps with regards to the nuisance abatement discussions that we're having. So please, this Wednesday, we're having another meeting. Unfortunately, my pleas last month for the public hearing went unanswered, but everyone is welcome to come to our meetings. They're not the most exciting, but it's part of the legislative process. And I really would encourage people not to feel like they're being surprised, because they can't be surprised. Half the time, these ordinances we bring up for first reading, we've been talking about in public for 6 to 12 months. Typically, it's not uncommon to have an ordinance that we speak about for that long. So please come participate, be part of it. I know we have residents that have also been on planning commissions in other parts of our community, and they know how exciting these meetings can be sometimes. But please don't be surprised. Come and learn with us, study with us, discuss with us the concerns of these ordinances. That's part of we as a body in the planning commission help build plan the future for the village. We need your voice, so please attend.
Yeah, and I just want to back up on one thing real quick of why it's so critically important. The topic being discussed is nuisance abatement. That's extremely broad and has a real impact, either positive or negative, on a lot of people. And so perspective of how people are using their land in the day-to-day, what seems clear and obvious when applied to real life makes a difference, and you have to have the perspective. So I know sometimes it seems, I know making meetings in general for anyone is a difficult thing to do. You're carving out time in general, potentially away from your families, but these type of issues affect everybody, so there's no better topics than something like nuisance abatement to come and participate. Thank you.
David, can I say one thing about the Historical District Commission as liaison? I just wanted to mention in our this month, the July meeting, there were a couple things where businesses had moved forward with things before talking to the building department about, particular materials that can be used. And I would just encourage anyone who is, before they do something, please make sure be aware of all the processes so that you don't end up spending money or using your precious time to come to the meeting to get approval for something that has a process in place and we have resources to help with. So just a quick PSA on that, because I wouldn't want someone to have to come to a meeting, spend their time, and then go back and come back because they weren't aware of the processes.
Excellent, thank you, especially HDC.
Any chance that I get a couple minutes for a rebuttal?
No. Rachel, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything to add
Okay.
right now.
Okay, now, new business. We moved 2 items down. First was comments regarding the check run. Angelina, you had something, so why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, there's over $5,000 of 2025 block party expenses, but we never had a 2025 block party.
Well, that's my comment. Is that a typo? Is that money that you're planning for the 26 one that's coming up, or is that for reimbursement? What was that? I was confused by that too.
It's reimbursements that they submitted from last summer's expenses.
We never had a block party last summer. I know you guys weren't here, but we never had.
We had the DTE thing in
That was
lieu of it.
sponsored.
Right, so I don't know if they expended anything
But
in
like the
relation to that.
stilts, like that's a roundup thing. So are they collapsing FCA expenses? Do we have stilts?
I wasn't on the planning team, and I know all of you guys weren't there, but because there wasn't staff to run the summer block party event, Mark Cooper, the board chair, made arrangements with DTE to underwrite much of the expenses and worked with them to plan the event. So
Which event?
It was sponsored.
the
DTE one?
The thing that was DTE, which was held at approximately the same time as the former summer block party. So technically, you are correct. There wasn't a summer block party. What I would recommend is that Evan, as the Main Street director, go back and, I mean, is
I
there
just like to
is there a
highlight this
problem?
undermines, is there a problem?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm wondering, yeah.
That we never had an event and now we're reimbursing $5,000 for an event that was never held?
We did have an event, and the assumption. Oh
my God, this is like what I'm
This
talking
is where we
about.
need to treat each other well. Can you just listen to me?
Angelina, point of order.
So what I'd like to do, I think we shouldn't be presumptuous that there wasn't any expenses that the Main Street organization incurred. If I think Evan would be happy to produce detail or maybe you can explain it if there is, but,
Evan, Jody, and Rachel all weren't here last August.
but Evan's got the job now and he's got access
So
to
he's
the
gonna
bills.
ask Mark for details.
What would you-
Does that seem like it's,
And I can do that, I apologize that
Yeah.
I'm stepping on you. The Main Street Board is going to disagree with you that there was not a block party. There was a block party. It was not really DTE's block party. They did fund a substantial amount. Some of the funding did come from the Main Street Fund.
Yeah.
So
So-
they will disagree with you there.
okay, so why are we getting the bill 11 months later?
Well, that,
They did submit the bills a while ago, but I took time to take a look at it and try to understand what was going on with our Main Street program and how we were handling this, and I did not push them forward.
Okay, because we were told as council that this was a sponsored event and that it was free. Either way,
I don't know if
it
it
just
was free.
seems strange, but it definitely highlights the importance of having a Main Street liaison to make sure that, you know, $2,700 on Pegasus Entertainment and still, I don't know, Trustee Sally, you were there. Were there stilt walkers at the DTE event?
I don't remember,
And that
but
seems like a Labor Day
the
roundup.
only thing that I would say is regardless of whether or not it was sponsored by, the roundup was held, I agree with you, Pam.
No, summer block party? DT?
Sorry,
No, yeah.
summer block party, and that is, I appreciate the correction
Yeah.
because that is materially
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
The summer block party,
It was canceled, they told us.
no, it was held by DTE, but that, I agree with Evan, that doesn't preclude us from making contributions to
Yeah.
it. So it's just a matter of, I mean, I completely defer to staff on whether or not.
Yeah, are they
have
legit bills
submitted-
or not?
Yeah, legitimate bills, right? And we move on, like,
Yeah, and you've approved them, they've looked at them, so no action.
Okay, so they don't, so we sponsored the DTE, or we spent $5,000 on the DTE event, it seems like. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if the "we" is in that sentence. Main Street did technically.
And we used the fund, the Main Street Franklin Fund to, which was budget, I assume budgeted in the 25, 26 cycle, right? I think we talked about, sorry.
So the way that it seems this was set up in the past was that $20,000 was set aside for Main Street and held in one of our GL number accounts, right? Their board would vote to decide how spending would occur.
Okay.
And then they would submit their receipts to the village for repayment.
And we would.
And
fund
as
it.
long as we had money in that account
It would be reimbursed.
and it
Or-
was something that was reimbursable, then we would reimburse them for those items. So that's how this
This is
happened.
like a general fund, it was in the general fund, in that budget, and there was a line item with this $20,000 appropriated in the, whatever, this 25, 26 budget appropriation.
Mhm.
And then they submitted these expenses, and you're like, okay, I remember having a discussion where you're like, I need to look more into this, right? I don't
Right, so
remember.
I did deny some of the expenses.
Okay.
But these that you see here were approved.
Okay.
And then did we, oh, sorry, why are we paying Plant Moran's bills like 6 months later? Their January bills, because I know we got rid of them.
That one there was in.
Because there was an invoice that was issued before, and
That wasn't paid.
then it was, the invoice was adjusted. There was a credit that was issued for something. The credit was taken and the invoice was reduced both. And so I received an email from Plant Moran with all of the documentation and was confirmed in accounts payable that that is what happened, and they needed the difference back because we took the credit twice, essentially.
Oh, okay. And then final question, do we absorb arborist fees for residents?
No, those are billed back.
Reimbursed, right? Okay. And then, sorry, that's not my final question. The body work on the 2020 Ford Fusion, is that a police car? Okay. Okay. So you do have like an older car then? Yeah. Should get a new one. No, I'm just saying, because I know that you like to replace them like every 5 years. So I was just, because the body work's expensive on that, so.
There was a cracked windshield that had to be replaced, and then there was a door that had been damaged when he parked it. Someone drove into it, and we had kept it like that for a year and a half, and we had a little bit of money left in that budget line, and I decided to go ahead and fix it, because we're going to keep that car for a couple more years probably.
Okay.
Okay.
And then all of the, this guy, I was just thinking, I was like, Ford Fusion, okay. All of the police expenses, are those aggregated, added, and then given to Bingham to like reimburse us for?
The
Per
process with
intervention?
Bingham is that it goes by our budgeted amount, and it's not necessarily the amount that we end up with our final approved budget, because the number is given to them in advance of that, for them to start their planning. And then in the contract with Bingham, it states that at the end of the fiscal year, that the auditor is to create a summary of all of the expenses and what was paid, and itemize that out and determine if anything is owed more to us or owed back to them from the amount that was paid throughout the fiscal year.
Have we ever done that?
I don't know, I just got here.
No, we don't. We don't do that. Like, who's the auditor? Our auditor?
Yes, that's what the Bingham contract says.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll have to do that next year. Right? Because like the Ford Focus stuff, like all of the expenses that we can't predict at the beginning of the year, but we might be owed by Bingham at the end of the year, are supposed to be audited. Yeah.
Yeah, if there's money in the budget for it, the difference would be between, one, the budget amendments, when spending is beyond the budget, but typically you're not spending 100% of your budget. So without any amendments, essentially, we would owe them money back if we went by the original number and didn't make any changes, regardless of what the costs were. But with amendments and such that have taken place, and the gaps between where that number was given to them and where our budgets were finalized, it could go in either direction.
So depending on if you spent the entire amount that's budgeted, or if you came under, technically we potentially could be owing them back from, depending on which way the amendments go, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
So this fiscal, or this budget year, how did it go? Sorry, Jody.
I was getting, what?
Sorry, like this budget year, how did it go? Were we over or under for what they paid us?
I haven't done that part.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Okay.
Okay, so, any more questions? All right, so we need approval of the check run, correct? So, anybody want to
Make a motion to approve the check run?
I'll second.
Motion by Sally, second by King. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
I'm sorry, yeah, I'm the person who, so this is the, I think we've talked about this, this is the cloud, sorry, next item, PSNA.
Yep.
This is the cloud. We need to do this.
Yes,
right?
yes.
I understand that, so no, like, they're gonna stop supporting it, but like, you needed to do your job, understood. I can't remember, did we put a line item for this, or this become?
We did not put a line
So
item
we'll
for
have a
this.
budget amendment for this, likely?
Yes, and depending on the project implementation, if you look in the, if you were looking in the packet, at the last page of it has a payment schedule.
Yep.
And it currently can be up to a year. When I talked to them last, it could take that long for implementation. So depending on where this goes in there is going to depend on how much would need to be amended, or it could be amended for the full amount, and then any amount not used in this fiscal year could just be voted through the budget process to carry over.
I just wanted a better understanding.
Yes.
From what fund, if this was unbudgeted, what fund are we using to cover these costs?
These costs will come out of the special revenue account for the building department, and those funds that we have in that account can only be used for building-related items, which this would fall under.
Thank you.
So this is legitimate for the entire upgrade? Okay, thanks.
I have a question. So there's like, It looks like there's payroll features in this new BSNA account. Will we still need to pay ADP, or once this upgrade happens, like, we'll be able to?
Well,
get rid of
payables isn't, ADP doesn't do anything with payables. We currently use the payables.net module, so it will just transition to the cloud. The payroll module is the one that would be an addition to, that we do not currently have, and that would replace the costs that are going to ADP.
that? Okay, yeah, that's good to know. For both us and the police?
Yes.
The police use ADP too?
Yes, we're one,
Oh, okay, because in the check run, it says like ADP Village and ADP
because it's two
Police.
different general ledger account numbers.
Okay.
And you've decided to go ahead and include the tax module? in-
We are, I don't know the answer to that
Oh.
still, actually. I don't honestly have a full, I mean, I have a full grasp and understanding of our systems.
Yeah.
But currently, Oakland County handles our tax.
Yeah.
And we have to go through Citrix Network to access the tax module in there. And I'm not really sure like what they do versus if we were doing it ourselves, of why, what the benefit is for them doing it versus us having our own module and information.
Okay.
It is a little bit difficult. We currently have our own tax module. When we receive payments in here, they go through cash receipting. We can link a scanner. We have a scanner linked to our cash receipting system, and then that ties in interfaces with our tax module. So when it's linked to the tax module, we can enter just the parcel number in cash receipting, or scan it, which enters just the parcel number and populates all of the information and general ledger account numbers for us. But the payment also has to be entered into the Oakland County tax database. So we have to dual enter them. Previously, last year, from my understanding, the way that it was done is it was entered into the module for Oakland County, and then Jenna was having to go through here and individually enter every GL account number for them, and some of the tax payments can be like 7 different GL account numbers for each payment. She was like manually. So we at least now have a scanning, the scanner working like interface to ours, and that's functioning. So it's a lot quicker and easier to dual post, but I'm not sure why we're dual posting. I don't know if we don't need our tax module or if we need theirs, but I haven't had much time during tax. You know, we did settlement process, and tax bills just went out July 1st. So to see like fully what the county does versus us doing that, because it's, you know, we still do our own disbursements and our settlement and everything. I'm not sure yet.
I think my question was, would you go back to the module page, Evan? My question was really, did you? Yeah, is the tax module included on here?
It
Is
is.
that part of the 51K?
It is included, yes.
Okay, so it's there if you decide to go ahead with it, and you've given us a good analysis of what your thinking is about it. So thank you for that. I happen to be in a conversation with some people from Beverly Hills, and they have decided to buy the BSNA tax module, but do it next year. So it was on my mind, and, because I thought you had included it in the original material, so thank you for that.
I have a question. Will the cable board be giving us the annual fees amount of $18,000, or is this like a one-time submission for grant, and then we have to reapply? Well, I'm just saying, do we have to reapply every year?
So I don't know the answer to that question. We have not, what was submitted to them for this year has not went to the board yet, and without a meeting?
We can address.
Yeah, so it's $18,000 annually for licenses. So even if we get a grant this year for 51, we'd still have to budget that 18,000? Or does the cable board, can we submit like a 5-year plan? Can we submit a grant with option years? Okay, so it's like a one-time annual submission and we have to keep doing?
No, it sounds like they're saying no.
Could we get a grant for the same thing? Or no?
You get a grant for the same thing from Maury, but the question is whether this would qualify for.
Yeah, okay, so every year we'd have to like submit for the money.
Or I guess it's annual.
Where are we going? Where's the cable board coming in here? I'm getting confused on this discussion and.
This is a grant application for the cable board.
No,
That's a different-
you're
that's a
combining
No,
two
this is
topics.
the bill
That's a
for
different-
BSNA.
That's a different agenda item.
Proposal.
Shoot, sorry, guys. Sorry.
All right, so,
I'm satisfied.
Was this not the same?
I am too.
There is an agenda item that's about the,
Okay, sorry.
and that's, yeah, so
this is what came off of the consent agenda.
This is coming in assuming that there's no grant or information, that this is still a need
So
of,
it's a $51,000 ask. My question is, the first two items say annual fee, so my presumption is those are recurring. One says upgrade implementation, so can we assume that's a one-time fee for us to transition over, and that we wouldn't see that 20,000 each year?
that's correct.
Okay. All right, and the others aren't, they're not small items, but the same question. Some of this is ongoing, some of this is because this is the transition year that we're getting help with these transition costs. Okay.
This is the first community that I've seen that the proposal is not 6 figures to transition to the cloud, but it includes, what they do is they have their whole teams for design and implementation and the structure and all of that, but they also come on site for training and stuff. And those costs are actually variable. For what they give is an estimate. I believe that they told me, if I remember correctly, that they had planned for 4 days on site for the training part of it. So if we don't need 4 days on site of the training part, then the cost gets reduced. But it was an estimated figure for some of those costs that are based on the time that they spend, is only their on-site cost. The rest of it is included in it.
This is a question. Will you be the only one trained in it?
No.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure like people know, just in case.
Yeah, everybody that currently uses it will
Okay.
still use it.
Awesome. So that training fee isn't like per person? It's for them to come on
I
site?
assume it is a little bit, right?
No, it's if they're on site, they're going to be doing different things with different people.
They'll bring the amount of people needed to do the training or whatever.
And they actually have a lot of online training, and a lot of their modules have very simple help features that you can self-teach a lot of the things. I don't think the transition is very difficult. I think that it would be different going from, like QuickBooks to this versus going from the .NET to the cloud.
And it's a requirement, we have to do this,
It's, could we wait a little bit longer? Maybe a little bit. My thing personally is that, it's been being said for so long that, when you get the people that didn't want to do it and you get to the end and you finally cut it off and everyone has to, and you have those last minute, I personally wouldn't foresee that being at the same cost. So I think that this might be our opportunity to jump in right before that part and potentially save money. I don't think that there will be reductions to the cost of it. So I don't think it's going to get any better, and it's coming. So.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Doesn't this also approve efficiencies? Like, when it's on the cloud, can they have permissions to get certain information, like the builders and things like that? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, so I'm not as familiar with what they currently, I know that we have stuff currently online and accessible for building and permits and payments and stuff, of the differences in that, but I do know that there is a lot more, and a lot of the modules have interaction. It is cloud-based. It is stored through, what is it, Agave, Microsoft. So it's a very secured feature, but it also frees up time of, they handle storage and backups. So it reduces the size and capacity that we need for server. It reduces the backups and, should we ever need to restore, they have that information for us. There's a lot of things with that. And then also it's accessible from anywhere. So, if anything happened here, we have to be like, last minute, we had like a closure at Village Hall and we were all at home. We all can hop right on and have access to the tools that we need to, like it's wherever we are.
I have one more question. Can you, what I just don't want to happen is that after year one, like their licensing fees double or something. Are we locked in at that annual licensing fee at 18K? Like, they should usually give us like a 5-year estimate of like 3 to 4%, just because you know how they try to like suck you in low and then.
Well, when they're pretty standard. It's not a new company and it's not a company that we just started with. And I think that they were always very fair and transparent through their annual fees for their .NET services. And once there is, this is just a proposal.
Okay.
An agreement is going to spell out that information.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you.
That's good, okay.
Anyone else? All right, so we need to consider approving and authorizing a contract to continue with the BSNA cloud transition.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Hanson, second by Sulaka. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
When will this get started, Jody?
It will, so once we respond to them and tell them that we're ready to move forward with it, then I'm sure we'll get more updated information as to where their timelines are.
Thank you.
So on this last item, that motion that was approved, there was a resolution prepared. Can we,
Oh.
can we amend the motion or redo the motion to acknowledge that we're gonna have the resolution prepared? Did you need that resolution
In
for
accordance with the
BSNA?
I feel like,
Well, the resolution, you guys can only pass by ordinance or resolution, so that's by charter.
I just wanted, no, I get that. I just wanted to note that the resolution we passed was this resolution that was prepared. That's what was in the.
yeah.
We didn't directly address this in the language of the
Since we
motion.
pulled it off the consent agenda, do we need to say?
You don't need to read it, just say.
No, I don't have to read it. That's what I was just wanted to say. I wanted to make sure that the motion that was approved was to approve the resolution as presented in the package. That's what I wanted to clarify.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
For a point of order, you guys give us these little write-ups at the beginning, and then they have resolutions pre-prepared. Then we make motions to approve the action, but don't necessarily approve the resolution as written. Are we to assume, when it's part of whatever these MAIFAs are, that if it's in the MAIFA and we approve it, that we've approved it as it was presented in there? Then I don't have to do that anymore.
You don't, but it does help if you say approve the
Per the
resolution as
pre-prepared
presented.
resolution, because we
Then
don't
you
always
have
have
to
it
read the
prepared.
whole resolution
Right, no, I'm
instead
not
of your
suggesting
prepared
that has to be done, but I just wanted to make sure when there is a pre-prepared resolution, that we make our motion to incorporate the pre-prepared resolution, so that it's not just the words that were said in the motion, that it's actually the words that were written. We have other things we get that don't have motions pre-prepared or resolutions pre-prepared, in which case we just operate by motion.
Right.
Okay, excellent.
No,
We
there are
just-
motions on all of the names.
Yeah, so the mix should have motions.
No, I'm not saying they don't have motions, but we don't always have a written resolution with every motion that carries here. every action we take.
She pretty much does.
You'll either have a resolution or an ordinance. I think in the past, you did not always have a resolution or an ordinance, but you do now.
She's been doing it, but.
No, you have been. I just wanted to make sure on the record that we're all clear that when we're taking these actions, that we are incorporating in those pre-prepared resolutions.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, thank you for that.
So we have 3 items that are part of the nuisance abatement that we sent to the planning commission to review and bring back recommendations on. We are getting these for the first time, and on the agenda is for each of these for us to take action on the first reading of these amendments to the 3 ordinances, which we'll read as they come up. So, the first item is consideration of a first reading of amendment to ordinance 648 regarding issues of blight and nuisance abatement. And this particular item has to do with
Litter.
litter, right?
Yeah, and accumulation of rubbish.
Yep. So, this document that you're giving us already exists, the ordinance?
The ordinance of, 648 does exist, but we've updated and modified verbiage that would be more clear in the execution of the ordinance.
So we'll go ahead and take action today. Before the second reading, will you please ask Chris, on any of these where we're getting an ordinance to show us what's the new language and the old language, like
A red line
the third
change,
one
yeah.
that we got showed that.
Right.
Without, we're assuming, we don't know what's new, and it makes it harder for us to
No,
understand.
that's fair. I mean, I get it. This
You
is
can
this
explain
is your
to us
first
right
reading.
now.
For us, it's a free flow of conversation.
Yeah, no,
I get
get
it. We've fallen away from doing that. We used to do that more in the past. I'll get back to talking to Chris about doing that. I know it helps you. It also helps the villagers when they read it and they see it for the first time. They know what they're comparing against. I totally get that's
So for
that's
this
on us.
one, help us understand what you did.
No worries.
Thank you.
And then, so do you want me to go into?
Yeah, so go
648?
ahead. So on item number, this first item of the changes to 648, go ahead and give us just a synopsis and on what you guys did here from what was
Sure.
here before.
Right. So in this case, some of the things that we were concerned about with regards to the nuisance of litter or rubbish, we had to update some of the definitions to explain kind of what the meaning of different things are. So composting is not necessarily litter or rubbish, but it does serve a purpose or help. But some people could consider it being rubbish. So we had to provide clear definition for that. Garbage, which I think in some cases, needed an updated or concern of definition. Litter also has a larger umbrella over, which does include garbage. But anyway, these definitions help clarify the ordinance. With regards to the ordinance itself, the idea is that when there is litter or debris in ditches, private roads, private properties, or it needs to be removed, and an enforcement officer can be called out to help encourage the removal. There are violation requirements for them to getting notice with regards to how soon it needs to be cleaned up. We do make it possible, or it is available. We do rely on the village ordinance officer to help enforce and work with the villager in regards to how the disposal and timing of that removal. Let's see what else is there I wanted to go over. I think those are the main things. Sarah, unless if you have something else you want to add to it, you were there with me.
I was there. A big part of this one that we really talked about was putting like finer deadlines in. So I think it is, sorry,
reading on my phone is very hard. 648.06, the rubbish and garbage removal. We spent a lot of time trying to figure out, like, hey, if someone gets a notice, if there's an accumulation of something, building materials, et cetera, how long do they have to clean it up? Like those sort of pieces we really worked on. We said 14 days, so that way, hey, you're giving time with when your garbage removal day is, all of that. So we just spent a lot of time going through it with a fine tooth comb in terms of like putting more teeth into it, making it easier for the ordinance to be followed or not followed, so it's more black and white.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank
Sarah.
you.
Thank you, Sarah.
I think that's really good, actually, like the more detail and the time element, so that way you don't leave it up to the code enforcement officer to, you know.
Right,
Yeah.
and you know, he's boots on the ground. So in this case, it's a he, and he tries to work with the villagers with regards to the situations that they're dealing with, because sometimes there is mental illness involved with the accumulation of debris and rubbish and debris, and so he is trying to be charitable, but at the same time, he can work with them. He can also kind of give deadlines to support them with regards to a timeline. Because sometimes people do just need a timeline to get help, and he can help rally support to help them. So it is a part of this is compassion, because we want to help people live in an area at home and neighbors that have have clean, I guess, do not have rubbish or things to accumulate potential illness or disease on their property. Okay, so that's main one for 648. Any other questions on 648? We can read through it more, or
We'll go to the next one.
No, let's take action.
Yeah, let's do.
and we'll do for this one. We will do a red line for you as well
Yeah, we're doing first readings right now. There's still a second reading. Between the first and the second reading is usually when changes get made. When we get the red lines, we have issues, we'll address them at the second reading. If they can be simply addressed and recognized at that meeting, we can move forward. If not, we table it and have changes done.
Yes.
In between the first and second.
Evan, do you prefer us read them all at once?
No, do them all through seven.
yeah, and you filled out paperwork for each one separately as well, so that's fine. The next ordinance is one that we didn't really have an ordinance for, which was the storage of building materials. It wasn't addressed in our building code, and that should be 670. I'm sorry. 678. That's right. As adults, we're trying to kill that, right? So that's yeah, it interrupts classrooms all the time, I know. Okay. Fortunately, not at the collegiate level. So in this case, we have a great village, and there's a lot of building, a lot of improvement going on. Due to this one, also we struggled with timing on, because as anyone that's done any construction work, they understand that. If you order something from Italy, the shipment doesn't come through, or there's a disaster, people like tile, and that's one of the places, or marble, or granite, that's one of the places we source from. But a lot of construction debris can build up, and so the idea behind this is that to prevent building materials from accumulation on a property that is not currently being constructed, we wanted to have an ability to set definitions or discuss how that material could be either stored under working conditions, but it needs to be alerted to the village, or have a valid building permit to maintain building materials. Otherwise, they do collect, and it does become unsightly over time. And so the idea behind this ordinance was to deal with that situation that we've faced in the past. At least give direction to homeowners and builders and contractors as to how to store and maintain properties while they're being under construction. So that's really the crux behind this ordinance.
So effectively, if there's a permit, you can store it. If there's not a permit,
There's a limited amount you can store.
Real quick question and this will apply to this item and the next one as well, is and I can't remember off the top of my head, from a grandfathered in standpoint, you could imagine that somebody could see this and say, for instance, in the next one, this car's been here for a decade, it's gonna be here for 20 more. So are we, I guess this would be for council at a state, and of course, if you're not prepared for this, it's totally my fault, and we'll get to it next time, but specifically around when things have to be grandfathered in, and I think maybe even beyond just from a statutory standpoint, whether or not there's any additional legal considerations around restrictive use of lands, right? That we got to that we have to contemplate, or whether or not we can say this ordinance does not allow something to be grandfathered in, just however we need to account for it, because if somebody has a bunch of building materials that was left over and they didn't want to pay for the disposal of, that are just sitting out in the back of their property.
Or they're aspirational.
Or they're
they'll get around to it, as they
No, I
told their
promise
wife
you
for the
that
last.
project will get done. That we can at least seek to achieve why we went through this exercise.
Yeah, like, does it only apply to new construction?
It applies to building material in the property. So really, so here's the thing. This ordinance is a new ordinance. And so anything that, if it was considered rubbish or litter or debris previously, it would still fall under that previous ordinance. But with building material specifically, because it's a new ordinance, it is legally non-conforming until after the ordinance has been provided. Anything new going forward would have to abide by this ordinance, is my understanding.
Yeah, right, so they cannot like enforce it.
So this, yes, it would be basically any building material that's purchased after the ordinance is passed, and left in the yard, then that would have to fall under the ordinance guidelines of something under permit. But the thing is, not everything requires a permit. So in some cases, there are building structures that get built in the village that do not require a building permit, or work that goes on in your house that does not require a building permit. In those cases, you just need to report to the village that there's an active project going on, that I'm working on this, and give a reasonable timeline of when it'll be finished.
This just prevents somebody from just sitting here forever that's not being.
Right. We don't want a wood yard in our village, or a building supply yard in our village. Right.
The way Trustee Sally addressed it is a better question for our council, which is not everything is automatically grandfathered just because it pre-existed.
Yeah.
Things that are permanent in nature, uses of a nature are, but things which are inherently immovable, are inherently movable, I don't think gain the same grandfathers as a structure.
Right. Yeah.
So that's something that I think council, we've had opinions in the past on grandfathering, but those were usually for physical things that were permanent in nature.
Like
versus
sheds or structures.
Sheds, fences, all kinds of
Secondary.
things that we've dealt with in the past. Uses, which
Right.
are grandfathered in until the use
Like easements or
changes.
things like that. Right.
Correct. This is a pile, which is an movable.
Yeah.
And if the law changes that you can't have it there anymore, I'm not sure grandfathering necessarily falls in that, but, well, that's, I think, something that we would need some advice on.
So, okay, well, and that would be great to have discussion on more detail in the second reading. Let's see, sorry,
Is the second reading at the council meeting or at your,
no,
okay.
it's yours, yeah. Yeah, so the idea behind this is that you would have a chance to digest it. With the first reading, you get to ask me initial questions, what were our thought processes, and then between now and the second reading, you have an opportunity to also make your own considerations, changes. So, for example, if you don't think that 128 square feet is a small enough pile or a big enough pile for having it on your property, then you would say, no, I think 300 square feet is a better number. The number, by the way, was picked because of it was a comparison to other neighboring villages and communities that are like ours.
Is 128 cubic feet, the 5 yards or whatever?
You're asking me to do math.
Sorry.
No.
21. It's written there.
21 times 3.
Give him another minute, he'll do it in his head.
It's 3 times 3 times 3.
It's fine.
Yes, 27
The
square feet.
recommendation came
Yeah. All right, go ahead, please. It's like 4 cubic yards, something like that.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
4.74. You wrote it. I didn't come up with that.
Okay.
Off the top of my head. I was just making sure that the context is you looked at what other communities are doing. This is the amount that we allow for building materials.
He's
That's right.
getting his, revenge on his college professors right now. Stuart.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, it's that's kind of how the number is now.
It's kind of small.
It is small, right? That's what I was thinking too when I first looked at it. But at the same time, when I started, I looked at my garage and my garage space, and it actually from a storage of material standpoint, it really emphasizes the fact like I really got to do something with this. That's really what that number is saying. At 4.7 cubic yards, I mean, you think about how much mulch you can lay.
Yeah, because I'm getting like 9 yards of mulch to lay.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and that's a pretty good sized pile if you're doing it by hand, right?
Sorry, I'm just thinking of it. Yeah. Sorry.
But yeah, the idea is that it's large enough that you can accumulate some materials, but small, but not so. But once you reach that number, you're like, I really have to do something with this.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay. And granted, remember this is all report based, so no one's going in someone's backyard and checking behind their shed to see whether or not they have excess roof tiles sitting behind their shed. I mean, which can happen in our village. Like, there's plenty of properties where you would actually have to go to satellite view to actually see that they have, the next 100 years of shingles that are sitting back there, and you wouldn't know, right? Because from the street, they're 20 feet up in the air, 20 feet up in elevation, and then behind their house and behind the tennis court and behind the shed, right? Like in some cases, right? So this is. I'm not saying you should. We're saying that like this is in the public view. This is something that would become unsightly and more of a nuisance. So, all right, that's for 678, and then 1268 with regards to blight. I'm sorry, we have the ordinance on.
This is vehicles.
Yes, vehicles. So this one, I don't know if anyone participated in or watched our meetings. This one does have some line out crossouts. I was particularly interested in updating the definitions with regards to some of these situations. I think those things that are crossed out are things that were already in the ordinance prior, and things that are not crossed out, for the most part, were already existing in the ordinance. And so in some cases, there are situations like grading machines or vehicles for grading were already included, but we haven't enforced it. And so the idea behind this is to update the definitions, clarify the definitions. One of the definitions that we clarified was we have blue collar workers. They do great work in our village. They live in our village. They're neighbors. But if you owned a dealership and drove a company car, you didn't have the same. You got the different perks than if you owned a plumbing company and that was your car to go to work, right? Just because you don't have, just because you put the name of your company on the side of your van, it precluded you from being able to park in your driveway. So those are some of the verbiages and changes we had that we removed just because we didn't think that it was being executed clearly or fairly for villagers. And the biggest, I think the biggest one is 14 in 12. Let's see, that's
the similar appearance one.
Similar appearance one, right? And that's because it's very common that you would have. So, for example, unfortunately, in our village, we have a lot of from time to time we have villagers that have hospice care. So overnight, you're going to have someone stay at your home with hospice care, and they're going to have a sticker label on that's their vehicle, and they're there overnight to take care of your loved one, right? I know we experienced that as a family, but thankfully, no one reported on us for having a hospice caregiver in our home caring for my mother-in-law. So it was the idea, though, is that these vehicles do serve a purpose, either by homeowner or by necessity. Yes.
Is vehicle including like jet skis?
It'd be recreational.
That's recreational.
Oh, that's coming next.
So that would be included under the recreational vehicles,
Okay.
And that is separate. The other one that I think is probably more of the nuisance that people are interested in or concerned more about are the inoperable machines and equipment, as well as inoperable vehicles. And then also we have the recreational vehicles we talked about as well. But those are the ones that I think from a nuisance abatement standpoint, those are the ones that I think a lot of people are more concerned with, is having, a spare truck in your driveway.
So practically speaking, like if someone stores their like convertible during the winter months, that's allowed.
It's operable, right?
It's operable, right? Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure, like, because people have multiple cars and
Right,
sometimes
well-
they're not used for months.
Right. And no, inoperable vehicles are ones that can't move under their own power.
Okay.
Right. So.
Registered.
I'm sorry.
And usually aren't registered. Yeah.
And usually not registered, right? And that. But there are regulations for that, at least if they're stored on the road.
You did cover that. Yeah, no, you did a good job on that.
So. And then we added pods. Yes, thank you.
That's a really good one because it's becoming a problem.
It has been a concern having pickup containers
Yeah, basically permanent
right.
garages.
And I don't think in those cases that they're intended to be permanent storage units. I think people's plans change, but at the same time, giving guidance to villagers as to how to deal with that situation, giving them a timeline, giving them instruction as to how to utilize those pod structures. They are useful, but they're not meant to be a shed in your driveway.
Short term. If you need a permanent storage, you rent a permanent storage facility.
That's right. You want to come up? We have a lot of planning commissions.
The only thing that I didn't see come through on that I happen to think about is there are a lot of villagers who have antique farm implements on display on their lawn, and I think we do need
Like
to.
horse and buggy and carriages and stuff
There's one like
Or-
a scenic, right?
Yeah, it's a manure spreader, and it's an antique in front of a historic home. Right.
I thought
Right.
there was a carve out for like garden art.
Well,
Okay.
I'm not sure, but that could be problematic. It could be construed as an inoperable vehicle, or
Does the code enforcement officer still have, like, if someone reported that, he could say this is yard art?
There's discretion, but also yard art isn't allowed permit if that's the intent, right? If there's a big difference between an antique manure spreader and
A riding tractor that hasn't been moved in
right
3 years.
or the skidster that's been sitting in someone's driveway or something like that for a while, right? Or that can't because they're waiting on parts. But yeah, so that's I think under that there's an argument. If though you feel as council feels that it has not been addressed adequately, please make the suggestion. I don't feel like materially that is such a large change that we would. It's reclassifying or redefining a use case that might not have been considered or explicit enough in your consideration in your minds. So I don't know. Actually, we guess the lawyer
We
if that materially
technically
was
have an inoperable carriage over here, right?
right. Yeah.
But it's
In the village.
playground.
Right. They turned it into a playground. Right. Okay. I just lost my place. I apologize.
14, is that where we're at?
I went through them all, but my reference is dead, so I gotta click on
The one thing that I would call out, just to the other trustees, is the inclusion, and it stands out because it was added, to the Boxer step-up van or similar vehicle. And my understanding is that would be similar to like the old milk delivery trucks.
Yes, those are not those are not excluded. I mean, those are considered. Those are not part of the excluded protected vehicles.
Yep.
Box vans are not. No, they have to be.
Yeah.
So like a U-Haul rental.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. Maybe I'm not. A U-Haul is or is not?
It is not. It is not a protected. Like if you own a U-Haul, it's box van.
Yep.
and you park in your driveway, you cannot do that for a long period of time.
And
Like,
part of the conversation around that was, again, doing that balance of what's like a commercial grade vehicle compared to one that just happens to have commercial markings.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really glad you guys went this direction, and just make a quick cross-reference to the sign ordinance, because we talk about writings on the side of vehicles as a sign, and in the sign ordinance, just make sure that they're not excluded there, because I've never supported this. I always think, I mean, just because you drive, you know, you're a plumber or you're a heating and cooling contractor, you have a small business, that's what you drive to work, you come home, and your car says Jones Heating and Cooling on it on the side of a van, to me is not an offensive thing, and to make somebody have to park it in their garage or find alternate placing for that, I never supported. Bringing home, like David said, a 14-foot tall commercial grade vehicle that's clearly not for transportation, but is your business truck, that your contracting truck, then that should be stored. But just because you drive a van and you decide to advertise your business on there, I don't think you should be penalized for that. So, good call.
Well, the only other thing I was going to say is that you have to remember, because with the questions coming in, this is not meant for vehicles on a short-term basis. These are things that are parked on a long-term or more permanent basis. So that was how we
thought about it, right?
thought about that.
Like this is their registered vehicle on their property, right? That's the emphasis, is a registered vehicle at that property. It's not meant to be every contractor can just like leave their truck there overnight. It is meant for the homeowner who registers the vehicle or is that they're a registered driver of that vehicle. Yes.
So you said something interesting. You said this is report based.
We're always report based.
But if there's, so the code enforcement officer, if he saw this,
He can.
I was gonna say, he won't be able to walk onto a property. Like, sorry, for the previous one would have been a better example. He wouldn't be able to walk onto a property and see like a pile of building materials that you can't see from the street unless it was reported.
Right.
But if the pile of building materials was in the front lawn, he could certainly stop without it being reported.
That's right. It has to be within visible. I believe that's my understanding, is that it has to be within the visible curb of the curve of the driveway or the road or something like that. It can't be because you'd have to have probable cause to go to the backyard and that opens it up for a completely different scenario that it's harder to correct for. So, but yeah. All right. Yeah, please.
So I just want to say, I think the process we used to do this, we brought in a lot of the ordinances that neighboring communities like ours did, and then we did a full comparison of that, what we liked, what we didn't like. We had the code enforcement officer with us, like making sure that, hey, how is this in real life? Like, tell us, give us the experience. And I think by doing it practically and having all of us have those conversations like you guys are having right now, which is why we love when people come to our meetings, even though you don't. Those are the conversations that happen that make the ordinance better and stronger. So by participating in these conversations, that's how you get it into the practicality that I think we did a very good job of balancing with this set, and I hope we continue to do. So I think there's a lot of partnership there, and I hope that kind of keeps going. And I know David always brings a great perspective when he comes in to be like, okay, this is what we're really looking at. And I think just having all of the eyes on it has made it so much stronger. So I just want to say that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Sarah. We have a neighbor who is a tradesman, and he came up to me and was like, thank you for, not having me park my van in, my garage every night, because he's like, there's lots of tradesmen in Franklin. And
yeah, I mean, what brought it to home for me. Well, first off, my father-in-law was a contractor for many years, and so I know what it's like to basically live out of your work truck, right? For my father-in-law situation. But I was at the barber in Farmington Hills, and I've been going to him. He's 90 years old. Been going to him forever. And he turns the parking lot and says, "See that guy right there?" And I said, "Yeah, what's the deal?" He's like, "We're gonna have to ban his truck." I was like, "Why are you banning his truck?" He's like, "Well, he has to park his work vehicle here overnight because Farmington Hills doesn't let him park in his driveway." And so he takes all of his painting supplies out of his work truck that could be stolen quickly, puts it in his home truck that he can park because it doesn't have a signage on it, takes it home,
Oh,
and then every morning and evening he does the same exact thing. And this happened right, I mean, it was serendipitous in this regard when we were going over this ordinance. I was like, this is ridiculous that, I mean, because the strip mall doesn't want him parking overnight because that's also a problem for them. And anyway, so that's really what it came down to for me is kind of how do we want to perceive how we treat our neighbors and in the work that they do. And I will tell you, contractors and tradesmen and tradeswomen, they make very good money. So they definitely, it's not a class thing. It should not be considered a class thing. So I felt that it was unjust and unequitable. So.
Thanks to the whole planning commission.
Anybody with questions? Otherwise, we're gonna need 3 separate motions to,
Move to approve the first reading of each one, right?
Yep.
All right, I'll make a motion to, is 648 the first one?
It is.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of amendments to Village Code of Ordinances, Chapter 648.
Second.
as presented, correct?
As presented.
Yep. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Jeff, why don't you stay with it?
All right, I'll move to approve the first reading of amendments to Village Code of Ordinance, Chapter 678, as presented.
Second.
All right.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, and finally, I move to approve the first reading of amendments to Village Code of Ordinances, Chapter 1268, as presented.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Since we
Thank
have
you
the
so much.
planning commission here, so thank you. And we'll see you next month.
So it's the third Wednesdays.
Yeah, so so we meet this Wednesday, and then and then
At 7.
at 7.
This
Yes.
Wednesday.
Yes. Because
Sometimes
it's-
it falls in the
I know,
same week, and
this one's
sometimes it doesn't.
I just can't think of a calendar, I understand, yeah.
But this one's frustrating because, like, if you give direction and we have to go back, it's much more difficult on us and staff to be able to prepare any feedback. I do prefer when we have a week separation, but this one I felt like was an okay one because our load is now resetting with the next ordinances that we're going to be covering. So,
Are you still doing it in 3 phases, or are we gonna do 2 phases?
we'll go through and do the next phase of ordinances that the council had the highest votes on the last time around. It may be though, I mean, depending on how things move forward in the election, if priorities change and council says, hey, we want you to stop working, because we're going to work on it for several months. Yeah. This was actually fairly fast. I was surprised how fast, and that's why we picked these first, is because these were actually more straightforward, considering we already had ordinances. But the next grouping might take us a little bit more time, and so if council changes their priorities, then we're willing to pivot if that's the case. So.
All right, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is discuss options regarding BACB. Unfortunately, I wasn't at legal this month, so this one's a little new to me. What is it that we're attempting to do here?
So as I go through each things after starting here, it's, there's been things that have come up where I'm like, this is crazy, why we should not be doing this, let's change this, and the opposite, that like we should be doing this, let's start doing this. And this is one where, I have my opinion, but my opinion is strictly financial and based on that aspect of it. And I'm aware that there's a broader aspect to it, so it was something that I just wanted to put to you because and I can share with you what my perspective is financially is, and then that's the reports that are provided here. Just shows overall like what has been contributed to the cable board and then what has been received from the cable board. And then we go back and then ask for grants for we can ask for grants for things and that from our own money, and it all just seems kind of crazy to me when there are technological upgrades that we do need here that we don't have the money for. And so the amount, I think, here's in the last 5 years, we have paid $318,000, and we have received back, well, at the date that I did this, we had received back $64,900.
This is the fees. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Jeff, so it's easy to see, looking at the ledger, items that we spent money on. And it's easy to see from the revenue column, actual cash that has come in. But as part of this analysis, we need to consider all of the things that we get that aren't on those ledgers. Grants that we've received, things like that.
Those are on
That
there.
is what-
The thing that is not on there is the video recording, which,
Well, so, all right, so let me, all right, and I really don't want to spend a lot of time on this today until we have a full understanding and people from the cable board have had an opportunity to present their own idea. But globally, is there an alternative if we weren't associated with the cable board anymore, that we could get all those services? Or would we now have to contract with third parties privately and have to manage and implement that on our own?
This is the first community that I've worked at that has a cable board, so this is the one, and so I get that we're gonna have we may have some different things because we have historical differences in that. But yes, those things can be done through, like what specific things are you, like for the meetings? Yes.
Ease,
And
where they get uploaded, where YouTube?
YouTube, yeah, YouTube, which is, go ahead.
No, I was just like, I think, I don't know, I would love to spend time on this. Like, I think a cost-benefit analysis of something that's costing the village over 6 figures the last 5 years is a worthy discussion. But I'll take Pam's cue, and maybe we can add to the finance committee meeting. So
Yeah,
that
I would,
we can-
and that was kind of the whole agenda item, is just
Yeah.
to have a I just think that, again, exactly what you said, I think it's something
Yeah, I think
that warrants,
it's
like,
worthwhile.
when we're going through all of these financial things, that like, you know,
Yeah, this is
is this something that, like, let's actually talk about the details of it, and is this something that should continue, and obviously
No, I
is
just
your
wanna make
decision
sure
for.
We've got a lot of heads in. I mean, Rick David's been our liaison for years. He'll know, he'll have some insight, but I just want to make sure that we're analyzing this from all perspectives.
Yeah, I
before
think-
we
And I think the
make
timing.
something that would be a fairly significant change from how things have been done historically.
Yes.
And
And I'm not sure, and Rick can speak further, should he, that was the request that we had for this year, that I know in April, the internet bills were sent, and for the May meeting, and Evan did go to the May meeting for those things, and then when he got there, they just weren't presented. And then, so we assumed, because they were every other month now, and so that was the email that I had attached, was to ask if these things were going onto the agenda for the July meeting, and I received a response that all requests for grant funding are currently frozen.
Is there, I guess, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not the time, but is that like something we anticipate to continue, or?
I don't know the details of that.
I wonder, because I want to be mindful of David's desire not to spend a lot of time on this. It's a big, complicated subject.
Sure.
And I'm okay bringing it to finance, just for a better overview. Rick David, our council, our cable liaison, is on that committee. I think there's a big picture that we all need to understand. One idea would be, just like we did with John Bry some months ago, we took a council meeting and really did a deep dive into Main Street. We should do that with cable too, so that we all understand how the money flows. Because it is a little convoluted, and I would be open to different arrangements, but I want to make sure we all have the complete picture for that. And my understanding also is that those funds are no longer frozen. That was a temporary pause.
Okay, I hadn't heard different, yes.
So maybe one thing you could do after this meeting is to meet with Rick.
Oh, I will not be staying longer than this meeting, but I definitely can touch base tomorrow.
Not tonight.
Oh, okay,
No.
I was saying, because you were saying it was here.
Well, you'll be at the finance committee meeting.
I will, yes.
So that would be one place. The other idea would be to have a conversation with our cable representative.
I have, yes.
Oh, you have. So you feel like, okay.
One thing I was gonna say, if we do a presentation, I would prefer it be before the council meeting, so we don't like spend billable hours from our attorney on something.
Oh,
that
I'm
doesn't need
totally
to be-
good with
Is that
all that.
okay? Like a 5:30 or something?
My suggestion initially with Main Street was have it as a workshop. The
Yeah.
council voted that down, so.
Okay. And then, I just think that, I know infrastructure, we were talking, and even as a strategic priority for the whole council, about spending money on technological upgrades to allow for like remote communication and like participation and more AI use into our meetings. So like, it wasn't just a YouTube recorded thing. So I think that, what's wrong?
No, I know.
Oh, sorry. So I just think that this goes along with that, right? Like if we're gonna be spending money on the cable board and then we're gonna be spending money on remote access, maybe we try to look at it holistically and say like, what are our priorities? If we need to engage people that can't be present and want to participate in the council meetings, let's figure out a way to put that money in one endeavor. Because we have to upgrade these anyway. Like we can't even, like it's just so archaic that we can't smart board anything. Like Trustee Sally can't share what he has on screen on the projector because everything is cabled and not Wi-Fi and hotspotted and all of that.
So what's the plan?
We're gonna put this on the August agenda and then you just,
We were
yeah.
gonna discuss it in our finance meeting.
Okay.
We'll get some direct input from Rick and get his thoughts, and I'm sure he's got thoughts from the other side of the equation. And that's what I'd like to do. I was not planning on a deep dive into the cable board when we don't have any background other than, you know,
Agreed.
what Jody has
Yeah,
stated
agreed.
today.
Okay.
Point of order real quick. So just to highlight, I think this is a good example of something that was brought up in the meeting today. So Evan, if you have any insight on it, if we did a motion to refer this to the finance committee, we don't need a resolution for that?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right.
Good catch. A
Yeah, I
motion
think
that
it's
doesn't
just-
require a
right,
resolution there. you
yeah.
go. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, we haven't officially moved to send it to the finance committee. That's what we can officially do. And I guess that's how we'll wrap this up.
Okay,
If
I'm
somebody
good.
wants to refer the discussion on the cable board to the finance committee for a deeper dive,
I will make that motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Oh, can we talk real quick? Right, don't we open discussion after?
Sure, if you want more discussion on this, go ahead.
Sorry, I would just like to acknowledge that, like, these things are really hard to do. Cost-benefit analysis of high expenditures, and that I appreciate you bringing it to council. So thank you.
All right, thank you. So we'll bring that back up when we've got some more information, and hopefully we'll have more by next month's meeting.
Need a vote, right?
Yeah, we do need to vote.
Oh,
All in
we have
favor?
to- All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Tax foreclosure process. This one's kind of new. I never knew this really existed, so if anyone can, either if it's Jody, explain to us what an accelerated tax foreclosure process is and what types of properties qualify.
So I can give you the quickest answer to that is that the state of Michigan has a 3-year waiting period for foreclosures. This process, if council passes this resolution to accelerate the certified abandoned property, it can speed up the process by 1 year. So it doesn't make it a lot faster, but it is intended to reduce crime, blight, and such for abandoned properties that are foreclosed. The process would be, if this resolution is passed, then and a property that is foreclosed would have to be certified as abandoned for the county to move forward. Our role in that, because the county handles all of our real property delinquencies, we would just pass this resolution. The county would handle the rest of the process. We, from my understanding, we would have a part in the certification process of abandoned properties.
So what we're discussing is a small section of tax foreclosures. It can only be a piece of property that, in addition to not having paid its taxes, the owner has, and has to be certified, abandoned the property. So this isn't just you don't pay your taxes.
Correct.
This is you don't pay your taxes and you don't live there half the year, but there's still a semblance that you're living there. This is an abandoned piece of property.
Yes.
No one's there, might not be boarded up, but we, through visual evidence, do not see people coming and going. Taxes aren't being paid, property's not being maintained. We consider it abandoned. I think the last time we did it was for the house over, or no, that was blight though, that wasn't for abandonment.
And it doesn't, there's no, on here, it says, adoption of a declaration of accelerated forfeiture of abandoned property resolution does not bind your community to any action. Rather, it simply reserves your right to pursue accelerated foreclosure process on a property you deemed abandoned if you choose.
And I'm assuming the statute is fairly clear on how that certification takes place?
Yes.
Who has the authority to do said certifying?
For the 2026 tax year, by October 1st, you would have to pass the declaration of accelerated forfeiture of abandoned property resolution. By February 1st of 2027, a property would have to be inspected and determined that it's abandoned, and a notice posted that's described in section 211.964, section 41B, and send copy of notice through first-class mail to owner or taxpayer of record. So even if it were somebody who didn't have residency there and the property was vacant for an extended period of time, the tax record address, the address in the tax records would assumably be where they do reside, and so notice should be received at that point. And then on March 1st, the delinquent tax is returned to Oakland County, and by June 1st, then we would have to notify Oakland County Treasurer's Office that the property, that we certified the property is abandoned.
This is 27 in your example, yes?
Yes, it's an annual thing, so this is for the 2026 taxes, which are happening now. And so it would go with it and stay with it from that point. It's not a last minute type of decision where we go in and say, you know, like this one's been a year and a half and we want to foreclose in 6 months instead of 2 years. This is, you know, this happens now, and then instead of 3 years, it takes 2 years if it goes delinquent.
Without, please, names or street addresses, but is there currently any property in the village that would fall into this category?
I'm not aware of if there is or is not. I just, you know, I know that there's properties that are delinquent. I know that there's properties that are likely abandoned. I do not know if those are or are not. To me, this just makes sense that if you're going through a foreclosure process, there's a very big difference between somebody trying to redeem their own home or a property that's just sitting abandoned and we're
100%.
taking time on cleanup. So,
We're not trying to accelerate the means of trying to take over someone's property.
Correct.
Who's struggling with their taxes.
Yes.
This is somebody who's essentially, or I'm oftentimes assuming it's an estate, a lot of times possibly, that has just walked away from the property, and that's a lot different than someone who's struggling, who I would never wanna, I would wanna make it easier for them.
Correct.
Than harder. But if this is helpful, and if it's either there's properties you have your eye on, or more so, it's just on the books for us, then sure. We're working on blight right now. If these
right.
properties erode into or evolve into blight, then this isn't bad to have, so. So you are looking for, we have a resolution that's proposed. So before we get into discussion, if anyone wants to make a motion to adopt the resolution or approve the resolution to adopt the declaration of accelerated forfeiture of abandoned properties.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by Sally, second by King. Discussion? No, you got anything?
I have one just quick question. Oh, sorry, did you
No,
have
no, I just-
something? So will we be working, or do we work with Oakland County Treasurer's Office that has their eyes on abandoned properties and people who need help? They've got a program, and there's lots of efforts that they're using to rescue people. I believe you're saying this does not fall into that category.
Correct.
How would we make sure that that doesn't happen inadvertently? Or is it so, I don't understand tax that well, so it might be just my ignorance about this, but I would hate for what seems like a decent resolution to somehow go south and hurt somebody.
So the way that I see this is it's something that would, to certify a property, it would come before the council. I think that efforts.
Okay, so that's a checkpoint.
I think that, and again, these are individual case-by-case basis. And I think that there's sometimes where you are going to come to a point where it's like, I don't believe that anybody's there, but you may not be 100% certain. And there's other times where you may be 100% certain that this property is abandoned, nobody's ever coming back for it, and it's just going to sit there and deteriorate until the day that it can be foreclosed on. And I think that those decisions would actually be easy when it individually is in front of you.
Okay.
Well, also, if somebody is trying to redeem their property through the county, they would be on a payment plan through the treasurer's office.
Okay.
And
And you would know that?
Well, the
assessor
county
know
would,
that.
yeah.
Right, okay.
This
Thank
is-
you.
Yeah, this is separate, right? We have to certify each of these properties.
The certification process is that vetting process, is that making sure.
Okay, I'm good with that. Thank you.
And a notice would be posted on the property and mailed to them also as well as, then it's still 2 years.
It's still,
it's a
right.
highly-
It isn't like it's making it overnight. It's
Yes.
still a 2-year process.
Yes.
Right.
And this just gives us an ability to accelerate it slightly.
Yes.
Okay.
Not a today, tomorrow, or the next day thing, but we probably will want process around this.
Yes.
Around notification, because you'll have notification of the individual owner, but then probably neighbors would be a good notice when you're making the decision, because if
Yeah,
I'm
we would
sitting
need a
up here.
policy on this, for
Yeah,
sure.
yep, so, appreciate it.
All in favor?
Right, so any further discussion?
Do we need to direct that, or that seems reasonable? To make sure when we pass this, there's going to be processes put in place.
Yes.
Well, it'll be even 2 years before we even take the process.
Well, it's potential, like, it's, there's potential that we could be looking at talking about certifying properties as abandoned in March timeframe, but not,
Not like in the imminent future.
right.
March 27th. Yes?
Well, what was the date that it had to, we would have to notify Oakland County that it was certified by June 1st, which would have to be a March meeting for that, to make a June 1st.
Thank you. All right, sorry.
Okay,
I think we need a vote.
right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Next item, it's kind of unique. Consideration of the resolution to apply to the DIA Partners in Public Art Program. Who wants to give us the, you read this? So yeah, go ahead, Evan.
So, this was something that was brought to me through Main Street, so, long-term, this would be kind of a joint venture between Main Street and the village in placemaking. But what it is, applying to a program where we can have a mural painted on a publicly owned building. We are committed, if this happens, to keep it in maintenance for 10 years. So hopefully we like it. I had an individual from the program out to kind of consider where we could put this. It has to be a publicly owned building. We don't have that many here. So we're kind of stuck with here, the bigger buildings for the police department. The DIA individual looked at all the buildings and said the restroom, the former Hicks was probably the best location for it. You can put it on kind of standalone structures, but they've never actually done that before. You can put it in the street, but that's, wears away pretty easily. So with all that, I did take it to the HDC to say, would you guys mind if we tried to put a mural on the side of this historic building? And I'm not going to say that they were gung-ho for it, but they were agreeable to apply to the program. What I'm asking you for tonight is to pass a resolution just to apply to the program. 3 communities a year are picked between Wayne, Oakland, and some other town, it doesn't matter. And so if we are one of those 3, then a planning committee is formed. The community gets to approve the design and the artist. You know, it ultimately is up to us what goes on the building. So, yeah, yes.
We talked about this like a couple of years ago. Was the library considered? Because we own the library.
The library was not considered. I also didn't know it was owned by us, so.
Okay.
I guess
The only one thing I'm worried about is like, I'm reading the bills list, there's like sewage issue, like if that bathroom doesn't make it 10 years. No, I'm just wondering, like what would happen?
Well, the wall should stand. Right?
I mean, but like if we have to put new bathrooms in or like they're non-functioning, do we have to keep it because it has public art on it?
That
Okay.
I don't know specifically the answer there.
I mean, it wasn't working for like 6 months, right?
I said, I can't imagine we would sign an agreement that says that. I mean, what you're asking for is just to investigate this further and have
No,
them
I'm
come out
asking,
here?
so
He's gonna actually-
if you pass the resolution, then I can apply to the program. It's not a done
But we
deal.
could get accepted and still not accept the acceptance.
I'm just
Right.
thinking like I don't know, the library might be.
In the, I mean, yeah, we can also choose another building, I suppose. That's all part of the application process, but, and that's still in the HDC, so they still want approval of that. But, in the packet, there is, an example of the terms and conditions. So as far as your question to holding it for 10 years, I think it is covered by that.
Yeah.
Look back in there.
Okay, I'll look at it, but I
I
just
mean,
like,
you
it
know, if a building were to burn
oftentimes
down,
doesn't
they
work.
Yeah.
told us.
Yeah.
It included an act of God. I'm trying to remember where it's specifically listed. There's a non-destruction alteration included, but there was something around an act of God. But to the point that you're
But
making
like-
is like, if it stops working,
That's
I mean,
not an act of God, though.
Still, though, it's within the HDC, so I don't know that we can just simply knock it down rather than repurpose it in worst case
Right,
scenario. And
yeah.
like, my personal opinion is, of all the locations, I like that one the most. It's a high traffic area, not only on the FCA property, but also for the baseball games. And so like, if we think about what a logical mirror is, particularly one that would be approved by the HDC, it would probably be one that captures our history and could capture, you know, like the Franklin baseball. And so it's a node to the community. So I really like that area. I think it makes a ton of sense.
I agree with trustees Sally. I think that's a great idea. We've had public art in the village several years ago, the Main Street program. It was a temporary installation, but it was fun. It was on the side of the restaurant. And it came down because it was not exactly, it wasn't through the DIA, it was through another organization, but people liked it. And I think it's a great idea, so I would strongly support applying for it.
Yeah, I agree with the other trustees on council. I wonder if the committee, will it have a council member on it?
I mean, I was told I get to pick, so.
Okay.
I mean, maybe 3 back here.
And then also, when they say like a vote of the community, like there's gonna be actually like open voting, like take out your phones and you have like
I
a week.
can't speak to that. I'm not sure how they survey.
No, I think that's really cool. That's why I'm asking, like, we can get, you know, the community to like, kind of like American Idol type thing, right? That's what I'm reading.
I'm not actually not disagreeing. So going back to how do we collect emails, something like that could be an incredible way to use, like, that you would cast some type of a vote through providing your email.
Oh, yeah.
So that we would be, that's like a proactive way for us to get people, one, engagement, two, the collection, so we can disseminate information moving forward.
Yeah. I love it.
So, yeah, just one, I think as liaison to the HDC, they did want to make sure that someone was on the committee so that there is continuity there too.
You better be nice to Evan, Jeff.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for the DIA PIPA project as written, as submitted.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Evan, thank you. Good luck. Next item is consideration of resolution in the matter of the village staff HRA program. Rachel, you want to give us the background, or, I mean, we've all had the opportunity to read the MAIF on it. Does anybody need additional background? I mean, we discussed this at our special meeting as well. Does people have need background on this, or are we just want to get in the discussion on whether we should have Rachel open discussions with the POAM and the COAM?
Maybe a little background, especially since people are viewing and may not be
All right,
aware.
so go ahead, why don't you go ahead and read us the background of how we got to where we
Okay,
are.
so I'll give an abbreviated version,
Yeah.
since we've all discussed this before, but essentially, there was an HRA plan attached to an insurance policy that the village offered. Down the road, that HRA plan dropped off from being officially offered and was then managed internally by staff. We cannot operate like that and are looking at bringing back another HRA plan to offer to staff along with the other insurance plans that were approved by the board earlier this year. So to be able to do that, we need to be able to negotiate with the POAM and COAM unions so that we can make an amendment to their contract to add this additional insurance offering.
Okay, and to also look at the current situation, make sure it's works for everyone? Is that part of it too?
What do you mean, look at the
Well,
current
because
situation?
didn't we just convert to an H?
HSA, but
It's an
we
offering,
haven't
right?
brought it on yet because we had this issue, so we held that up for now.
So the plan is, sorry, Jeff, so the plan is to offer,
We can
to people?
offer 3
oh, we don't
policies.
even know, right?
So we have, what we're offering is the HSA. We're offering the current policy that they have right now. And then we can offer a policy along with an HRA.
Okay. And right at this stage, we're just giving you authority to begin those discussions.
That's
Okay.
correct.
So and we don't know what that might look like, but it would be in negotiations, we would be presenting another plan to provide.
Yes, so I have asked Corporate Benefit Solutions, who provided us with the other 2 plans that were approved, to draft a plan that includes an HRA option.
Okay.
So that's what we'll bring forward to discuss with the unions.
Okay.
Is there any concern with reopening negotiations? Like, I know that if negotiations fell apart, then the current collective bargaining agreement would stand.
It will. So we're not, I spoke with Bob Midlowski earlier today, and he recommended we do not completely reopen the contract, even if it is just to discuss healthcare. He asked that we just do an amendment, and I don't see any reason why we wouldn't handle it in that way.
Yep.
But this is different than this agenda item slightly, yes?
So what's different is COAM was left off of this, so they are now added to it. And rather than reopening the contract, we're just asking to negotiate an amendment.
Okay, so the language would not be to authorize reopening.
You have a copy in front of you that was handed out
Sorry,
by Evan, right?
I apologize. I see. An amendment, okay, I'm sorry. I see.
Right, so it's not a request to open negotiations on the contract. It's just to begin negotiations to discuss an amendment.
So would negotiations include like a dollar amount that we would be able to afford to run this HRA? Right, like, do we have to redo the budget and like, kind of like, is this gonna
We're gonna
impact?
Find a budget line item where we're gonna cover HRA reimbursements. It depends on, I haven't seen a plan option yet, so it depends on what that plan option is. And whatever we negotiate would still have to be approved by council.
Yeah.
And
That's
then,
not the end of it.
do we
so-
have to bring in Bingham Farms, since they would be? Because I know they were part of the contract negotiation when Meg did it. Because they would have to pay for some of the HRA.
But that just goes into the budget, right? Your budget?
But you'd still have to put them on notice that they're now financially liable for 35% of the HRA.
Yeah, we would have to talk to them. But that shouldn't
But you'll just have to talk to them.
affect this decision.
Yeah, they just have to make it too. Like whatever, yeah. Yeah, because all parties to a contract would have to agree to an amendment. Right, yeah.
But
they
they
party
don't
to
sign-
CBA?
No, they're not. They're not party to the CBA.
Yeah.
I think we just,
We subcontract, we basically have a sharing agreement with them, but
Then why were they part of the contract negotiations?
probably for amicable, like, if we-
Yeah.
it's a large line item, so if we're asking for
all intents and
35%.
purposes, Meg negotiated the contract. I don't know to what
She
extent.
she briefed finance multiple times that Bingham was
Yeah.
there,
Yeah,
yeah.
they were
But they
there,
were
but
present, but they weren't,
they're not a
they
party
weren't
to it.
parties to the negotiation.
During the
Yeah.
full contract negotiation, things like raises for the next 5 years
Yeah.
were included in there. So that would affect Bingham's contract for their repayment level with
Yeah.
us. So maybe that's why they were there, but
I just want to
strictly
make
just
sure
for
we stay
healthcare.
good partners and don't like attach an amendment to a contract they thought was solidified for the next 2 years, and then they're not aware of it till after it's already done. Right? Like, shouldn't we preemptively let them know that?
Of course.
Yeah. Because it will raise the amount that they,
Depending on.
yeah, depending on the outcome. But that way they can like,
We don't know that it will raise the amount.
no, we don't, but it could. All I'm saying is like, include them. I guess, did we include them as a favor or as a courtesy or as a requirement, do you know?
Chief, let me help
So I
us.
said it in all those meetings,
Yeah.
that was like one of the first times that we included them, and that was just,
As a favor.
I don't say favor, but it was like a
Amicable.
partnership, but Franklin was making those decisions.
Okay.
They're just being advised of
What we're deciding.
So we don't have like nowhere in our contract with them does it say that they'll be included in contract negotiations. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't missing that part. So it was more of a courtesy, kind of.
All right, so can we get a motion to authorize the village administrator to open negotiations toward an amendment to the collective bargaining agreement regarding with POAM and COAM to include an adjustment to healthcare provisions as presented?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Hanson, second by King. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Rachel, thank you. Good luck.
I assume this starts immediately,
We'll have to schedule a meeting and see
but it's
based
like,
on when they're available.
we're moving ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Okay, consideration of appointments to boards and commissions. Right now, we have 3 openings on the Planning Commission, 3 openings on the ZBA, and 1 opening on the Historic District Commission. With regard to the Planning Commission, one of the returning commissioners, Sarah Greslick, has also asked to stay on, and then the other 2 planning commissioners, one has moved, the other has not decided to stay on. So we need to fill 3 seats, and
Wait,
it-
sorry, is this for planning or
for
zoning?
planning.
Okay.
And so right now, as proposed, we are looking at reappointing Sarah Greslick. One person has come forward requesting to be on the Planning Commission. That's Dr. Cassius Drake. And then we would have Jeremy Warner, who is currently on the commission, who hasn't asked to stay on, would technically, he would be the seat that would remain on until he could be replaced, because per the charter, Quincy Harrison has already moved, so we need to actually officially fill his spot. So as far as Planning Commission, we're looking at Sarah Greslick and Dr. Cassius Drake to fill 2 of the 3 seats. On the Zoning Board of Appeals, there are 3 openings, and all 3 of the current commissioners would like to stay on: Michelle Sumerian, Linda Hiller-Novak, and Mark Zizau. So we would be looking to retain them on to the ZBA. No other applicants had come forward. And then the last is for a remaining opening on the HDC, since Mike Brassfield had resigned. And when we did this last month, we were unable to fill Mike's seat at the time. Since then, Bill Finicum has come forward and asked to fill that seat, and he is the only applicant that's come forward on that one. So really, we're looking to fill 2, 5, 6 of the 7 seats right now.
Point of order.
Yep.
I think we're gonna have to treat this separately, because from our charter or ordinance, you actually have to make the nomination and then we have to.
Yeah, I'll treat them, yeah, thank you. I'll treat each one, because, right, the planning commissioners, let me see.
You nominate, we approve, yeah.
Just a question, point of order on the zoning board of appeals. My understanding is that planning always has a liaison or a member on the ZBA. Is there a reason why, I thought they were appointed from planning?
We've been going back and forth on this.
The bylaws, it is separately
Okay.
done.
Yeah, we've always treated it, we have made that person a liaison, but the term of the seat they're filling still has to be for a particular years. So the seat that Linda as the liaison is filling is up. If Linda resigned from the ZBA, then the planning commission would have to allocate another liaison to fill that term. So we'll do these in order. We'll start with the planning commission. I'm gonna,
Sorry, real quick. So there was just enough people to apply the seats we had open?
we have no
In
extra.
certain, in certain circumstances, we had less.
Yeah. It's been a weird cycle. It's really hard. I mean, a year ago, we sat in this room and had 6 people and had to choose from 3 of them, and now here we are with 7 openings and can only get 6 people, so.
So
it's-
I'll
you
speak
never
to
know.
planning commission with regards to the having 3 vacancies and only 2 applicants for the, it is actually very difficult to hold meetings and know if we're going to hold meetings for quorum if we don't have a full contingent of planning commissioners. I'm grateful for those that have applied. I know that when I joined planning, I think my seat sat open for 6 months or so before I was appointed to planning. We're in a cycle right now where we're going to have someone that's not necessarily active on planning for another few months until we get applicants. If you have friends, we're an exciting group. We're not as we're not as much fun as the historic district commission, but we're still fun. So please apply. But we do need to fill the seats to make it work for us. I know that we'd love to have more and choose from more villagers, but this is a time where we need to.
So as a point of order, Jeremy Warner's seat has expired. Quincy Harrison moved. Was Quincy Harrison's time period the same as the other 2?
Yes.
So that anyone that we appoint here will all be on the same track?
Yes.
We don't have to separate between who's, okay.
And
Okay.
when does the term start for all of these that we make today?
In July, so I'm.
So August 1st.
I would assume so.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with the planning commission, and I am going to appoint Sarah Greslick and Dr. Cassius Drake to fill 2 of the 3 openings.
I'll make a motion, or is it make a motion?
So that's
supporting
fine,
the
so then you would
appointment?
make a motion
Yeah.
to support with a second.
I will make a motion to support the nomination of the appointment.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Sarah, thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
your
coming.
continued hard work. You've been an amazing commissioner, and we look forward to having Cassius involved. Second is the ZBA. Now, all 3 of the ZBA seats are for active members, and they are all 3 currently expiring. So I am going to appoint Michelle Samarian, Linda Hiller Novak, and Mark Zizow to fill the 3 openings on the ZBA.
Second.
Motion?
So no, on this one, it's
Oh, so
only
the-
planning commission.
Only
that you
planning
do
I
the
appoint.
appointment.
Okay, so
now
then
that
I'm
was
making a
and
motion.
I'll
Thank you
second
for
it.
the point of order. Appreciate it.
Yep.
So I'm going to move on that.
And I'll second.
Trustee Solly second that. Further discussion?
I'll just say, appreciate Evan sending the attendance records, because it's really important for both these boards, and these people that are being reappointed tonight have high attendance. Because if they don't, we don't have
That's
quorum.
pretty much so the only, that's really the only characteristic for which we won't reappoint someone is if they have
Yeah.
failed to be timely. There is no qualification, there's nothing that you have to, a degree of education, you just have to agree to be a volunteer, and then once you agree to be a volunteer, you have to honor that commitment. And so it's will really be for people that have failed in that commitment that we would consider not appointing someone who's on the commission and wants to stay on.
Do the alternative, or alternates stay on too? Or they have terms that weren't
They have
expired?
terms, too.
Okay, okay, I just want to make sure.
And my contribution to this discussion is that Mark Ziso called me today and wants everyone to know that he is delighted to continue, and thank you.
Yes. Mark.
That's specifically for Mark.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Linda, thank you for your other seat.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay, and one more thing. So is the open seat, you're still accepting applicants?
Yeah.
So.
For the PC.
Okay,
Yes,
so like if
yes, thank you.
someone,
We still do have an opening on the planning commission for anybody that wants to submit an application. We welcome it.
okay,
Thank you.
open until filled.
Open until filled, correct.
Can't believe we don't have anybody for that.
It's hard to believe. Last item in this is the replacement of Mike Brassfield on the HDC. And I move that we appoint Bill Finicum, our longtime friend and architect, to be on the HDC.
You know,
Take the second.
Second.
All right, motion by Goldberg, second by King. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, everyone. We're almost there. One more seat to fill.
We'll be passing out the application at the meeting, and hopefully somebody will come. Hopefully somebody will come.
You need to find someone who's never sat through a meeting, right?
They do.
It's a great way to be a part of the community.
I think Evan and I try with like 50% of the people that walk through the door. Like, hey, what board are you
You're
on?
like, take a mosquito dunker and an application. Yeah, exactly.
I'll take this one. No action to be done today. It's just discussion. It was just an instance of failure to hit send, but I did get it out to Evan before the meeting. He'll circulate it out to the group. Provided him a red line of the previous process that incorporates a lot of the things that I've seen could take some improvement. I do want to call out specifically in response to the what previously happened. Again, Sarah, thank you again for highlighting that, in the sense that when we do have an opening but we have an insufficient amount of applicants, let's just go ahead and get the people appointed so that we don't have anybody waiting out. As well as I tried to be mindful of assignment of like who is responsible at the step. So if there is an affirmative communication, identifying a point person who's responsible for that communication. So equally true, if there's any input from you, Rachel, on who you would want to do that from a village perspective, by all means, please provide that. But this should give us an opportunity going into next month to kind of work through the red lines. From a process standpoint, should we just, as we've done previously, submit red lines in to Evan? Perfect. All right.
Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Look forward to
of course.
getting it. Last item is consideration of referring review of sports courts and related fencing ordinance to the PC in light of new sports courts being sought. So this one kind of came through me in the sense of, in the course of this, really started more this year, going into this summer, but I also have an experience in dealing with some resident complaints. Our current ordinance is a little bit archaic in the sense of addressing modern day, what I'll call sports courts.
Right.
Traditionally, you had a tennis court on a piece of property, and we have regulations and fencing requirements that deal with your traditional tennis court. But in today's world, tennis courts have evolved into basketball courts. They've evolved into hockey rinks. They've evolved into pickleball courts. They have various types of surfaces. They require certain types of enclosures and not enclosures. Our fence ordinance is very limiting in what you can do there. I have also personally, as well as Trustee Sally, has been involved in resident issues where one resident has a sports court, another neighbor next door doesn't. The fencing around the sports court is not sufficient in containing balls. Balls are on the neighbor's yard. I don't want to give the neighbor the ball back anymore. So it's just an evolving world that I think needs to get into the hands of the planning commission to look at. And then to top it all off, and what the ZBA applicant had requested and subsequently withdrew, but I have received 3 calls from other people. I'm assuming that resident asked other people who also want to have a type of structure. Is there's now the game of padel, which is sort of pickleball on steroids.
They have
It's
it has a glass enclosure
It's kind of
partial,
like racquetball and pickleball combined.
but there's a glass
You're
part
playing
part of
pickleball,
the
but you
fence.
can hit it off the wall. So, but it's evolving, and it's another thing that residents want to inquire about. So what we're doing is really sending it to you guys to do what you guys do. Deep dive it, check what our neighbors are doing on the subject, pick and choose which are ones that make sense. If there's ones that don't make sense, if there's limitations to them or concerns with them that could be addressed but still allow them to exist, that's sort of what we're looking for here, and I think our residents are looking for some input on what they can do.
Yep, and it's on our agenda to start discussing this month already.
And I don't know there's a time frame. Most things that someone would be able to, is not gonna get it done this summer. So these would be things that people wouldn't be looking to try and put in place until next spring and summer.
I think this, like some of the other ordinances that we've looked at over the last 8 years or so with regards to how do we deal with future-proofing our ordinances, and those are the things we're gonna look at. Garden enclosures, things like that. How do we deal,
Evolves.
just like solar panels, not having to do a site plan review for a solar panel, to make it more of a building code enforcement. Things like that we've had to be able to adjust it for future-proofing.
Yes, this is coming from residents. They have desires and needs and requests, and we're.
Our fencing ordinance we've touched once, but I think even then it was, it was specific during COVID years. It made sense, but it's good to go back and revisit to try and fix some of these concerns.
I've looked at it. The part on sports courts is super vague.
Yeah.
So
Definitely could be looked at.
is the intent to limit residents' ability to put in a sport court,
No.
or allow them to put in these new sports courts for these emerging sports?
So for sports courts, there's generally 2 different ordinances you have to pay attention to. One is non-permeable surfaces. You have a limited amount of non-permeable surface you can have on your property. That includes driveways and patios and sports courts. And then you have another part of the ordinance that has to do with fence sizing, fence height. Tennis courts get a 12-foot allotment for a height of the fence, but it's typically, sometimes the verbiage is very specific as to what the material can be. And for padel, part of it is glass.
Because padel isn't tennis, so they can't have the same height.
Same height, same materials. There's
Okay.
different. So this is where those restrictions come in. So we need to look at what the initial intent of the fence ordinance is around, and how does that now apply to these new sports? And is there a doctrine or a principle that we can write as an underlying ordinance that would satisfy future-proofing some of these changes? Because the ordinance was probably written when people were only putting tennis courts on their property. So, yeah. I know as a kid, though, I would launch the ball over the tennis court fence because baseball is way more fun but at the time.
Another question, like 3 months ago, we sent something about the sign ordinance to you guys. Did that ever get brought back?
We did, the recommendation we gave back to council last month was that we don't feel like there's a change that needs to be made because we've already gone through a general election with the ordinance as it is written today. And so because there has been no change requests for the last 4 years that we've had it or so, for the last several elections, then we haven't seen a need really to change it in that case. And the other comment that we brought up was a corner lot, the frontage, yeah, a corner lot, it has its own definition and requirements for different ordinances, and so it's called out in an exception anyway. In some cases, for a corner lot, so in the sign ordinance, you do get an additional sign because you're on a corner lot, but that's also because if you could potentially say, I've got two frontages, so I should be able to have the same number of signs on both frontages, and we paired it back to one on the corner lot because they have two different streets that they can potentially put signs on. So that's how we paired it back then. But that was the direction we gave last month.
And sorry, I wasn't here. Did council approve that, or did they take a?
Yeah.
Well,
How
that's our recommend. That's our recommend. There was nothing.
We didn't take an action.
We didn't
on it.
actually.
We didn't make
Oh,
a
okay.
change, so there was no action to be made because we didn't make a recommendation to change it.
Okay, so
Because we would have to have a public hearing, we'd have to make a recommendation to make a change in ordinance, then we would have to have a public hearing, and then we could bring a recommendation to council, but if we make no change to an ordinance, then there's no progress or no movement on it.
okay, so does council have to vote to accept it?
No, we're not,
No, I mean,
there's no change.
Council could vote to do something
Different.
despite
Yeah.
what they're. I
So
mean,
why
they
don't we just
recommend
make it the
They
same? Like everyone gets 3 signs, so there's parity. Like I don't understand why we would, if it's 3 for one frontage and 4
Okay,
for.
so you want to know the history? Because I sat
No, I
through the whole
don't want to
thing.
know the history actually, because I
Right.
can read through the legislative history myself. I think that we just need to either approve or not approve. You told me the history of it.
Point of order.
Approve or not approve
Yeah,
what?
point of order.
There's nothing to approve.
We're off topic. We can bring
You're
it,
right.
if we
You
want to
can
bring
put it
it
up on
next
next
month,
agenda.
bring it next month. This has nothing to do with this.
That's fine.
Okay,
So,
I'll
thank you for.
I'll go ahead and make a motion. I move that we refer a review of sports courts and related fencing ordinance to the planning commission in light of new sports courts to bring us back a recommendation.
I'll second that.
Before we move to a vote, just one comment. I would like to see, well, we still work on this. I would want to make sure that we continue to prioritize the nuisance abatement that you all have been working on. If we can do it in conjunction, fine, but I would still prefer to see us see that through.
Yeah, for sure, I would hope, yeah. You guys can handle more than one ordinance at a meeting.
We've done it before.
Definitely done it before.
There's nobody there.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, does this thing, sorry, Stuart, is this part of like that turf discussion we had a couple years ago? Okay, because I remember we had that in the ZBA.
This is just fencing.
Okay.
Fencing and,
Okay, sure.
Since I was at the zoning meeting, it's very different on a number of fronts. First, I want to say that this particular homeowner could not have been nicer, more polite, and really understood that this was not going to be something that would elicit a quick answer, and really was putting it out there so we could review what is kind of antiquated language right now. The other issue is a big part of these ordinances and fencing and everything else is the opacity. And here we're asking for glass. And so it is going to take some investigation. And I mean, this particular person was even willing to sink it down a little bit to lower the overall height. But the point is that we just have a really antiquated ordinance as far as materials. I mean, we would allow a 12-foot chain link fence.
why not a glass?
Right. So we need to look at that. We need to look at it from a matter of aesthetics, of the materials. It's not, I mean, it will have a solid surface like any sport court would, and that all depends on, overall land coverage and the whole equation for that.
So
But-
this is like an outdoor open glass.
Yeah, it's
enclosed
got,
court.
it's got.
It's not
a-
like an indoor basketball
No,
court.
it's
That's-
outdoor, and it is glass on 3 sides, and then there is above a grade. I've,
Imagine a pickleball court, but where the exit, the out of bounds is a glass.
And the top is open.
yes, top is open.
And so you could bounce it off the wall, inbounds to hit,
Right.
like you would with squash. I mean, it's just another game.
Yeah,
A
okay.
12-foot piece of glass. A 12-foot piece of glass?
Well,
Plexiglass.
yeah, well, it's got a border at the top.
Evan, can you pull one up?
Yeah, well, you know what?
You can Google it.
It should be on there. from
I'm
the
kidding,
meeting.
I'm totally kidding.
No, it's on there from the minutes of
Oh, it
the
does.
zoning meeting.
But the investigation would not limit it just to.
No.
No.
it should not.
It's reviewing everything, because we have no provisions for pickleball courts. I mean, everything is just grouped under
temporary hockey
tennis
rinks.
courts.
It's
Yeah.
aesthetic.
We don't even allow fencing to go all the way around the structure. It has to be open on the side when you walk in and out. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't control balls that
It's
way.
really a matter of materials and fence heights, because that's all changed since
The ordinance
tennis
was written
courts.
when there were nothing but softball fields and tennis courts.
Right,
Yeah, aesthetically, it's beautiful. Yeah.
it is. It's really attractive, so. And, you know, at least according to this one villager, he knew of 5 or 6 other people who are interested
Right, I
in
got
putting in
also
the same.
So what was the rationale for ZBA not being able
It's not
to?
in the ordinance, right?
Because
But they
if we turn it down, he has no other option.
Oh.
It looked like it was heading for that, and so it was
Okay.
Well, from
better
his
for him to
standpoint-
withdraw than to be turned down and not be able
Well,
to
as it
do
turns out, he was asking for multiple variances. We
Well, he
changed
was,
the
that's
ordinance
right.
that covers 3 of 4 ordinance variances.
Right,
And
right.
then he would only need 1 variance. Had he been denied, he couldn't come back for a year on that variance. So it was
Right.
probably smart of him and his attorney to withdraw, to preserve the
Right.
ability to come back at a later date.
Right. So,
No, good job, guys.
Good job.
We need to take an action, yeah, we got to vote. More discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adjourn.
Sorry.
A motion and a second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.